Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
When the chips are down
and the stock market's
a beat.
It's easy to grin when your ship comes in and you've got the stock market beat.
Oh, God, what is it? The man with the grin. The man who can smile.
The man worthwhile is the man who can smile when his shorts aren't too tight in the seat.
Okay, Pookie.
Okay, Pookie, do the honors.
The worst part of that movie was the Danny and the girlfriend.
Whatever. You just rub some peanut butter to get the scratches right out of the floor.
Wondering if you saw the latest PFF rankings.
Nope. How are Brady,
on the
Manning, and
bumper
Breeze
bus.
stacking up to other guys in the shower?
Yeah.
You gonna take it? You want any of those guys?
Right.
What are we talking about?
I'm sure the Globe or somebody will bring an extra person to the game, and that's all they'll do.
The Brady Watch. And I'm sure someone might even read it.
Yeah.
Wow. It sounds cliche, and coaches Bill has even said it before. Like, collecting talent and building a team are two different things.
False quote.
Christ.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Fueled by Duncan.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Thursday here at Gillette Stadium. A little late start for us at 1 o'clock, but that's because we just came from practice. And
Not a game.
Deuce is here, Eric's here, Paul's here, I'm here, Matt's in the booth. So let's get right into it, fellas.
Let's go.
OTA, we had full access today. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, Cam Newton was not there, which was Bill told us he wasn't going to be. So that was some speculation about that.
That was the stunner of the day to me, how pleasant Bill was in actually giving an injury update on a player who's actually injured. Yeah. Acknowledging that there's an injury, saying that the guy wasn't going to be there, saying that it wasn't anything too serious.
I mean, when it comes to Cam Newton, he's been out of character for 2 years now.
Yes.
You know,
You're right.
Like he gives information about him that he just doesn't do with other players.
You're right.
Yeah.
You know?
So that set the stage. And
what do you read into that? I totally agree.
I think
one of the rarities where I don't have anything to argue with you about.
I think it's managing the player. He knows he's a different guy, and I got to treat him differently.
Yeah. Different than any player he's ever had?
That's just me. That's just now.
There's something to it.
Eric, it's a good point, but if he was the head coach when Lawrence Taylor was on his team, I'll bet you he would have treated him differently too.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know?
Yeah, probably right.
But I feel like the injury stuff, though, that's usually
not to say that they're the same type of person.
No,
okay?
I know what I know what you're saying.
But they're that.
But you got to adjust
the caliber,
how you manage.
The caliber of play, the
personality and importance to the team.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew what you meant. Yeah. I knew what I was on the same wavelength with you.
I still just find it a little frustrating. You know, just I wanted Cam to be out there. I want him to have a full off season. I want him to be able to immerse himself. And it's a weird thing. It's like a little hand injury, and some guys are out there and they're barely doing anything sometimes. So I just find it a little bit frustrating. That he's unable to go and he's missing out these last parts. And if he's going to miss the mini camp, not to say that this is going to be a huge
if he's just
detriment,
out listening.
but,
I mean,
right?
Isn't that helpful?
It seems weird that we've seen a lot of injured guys who are rehabbing who come up at least for part of the practice, and like for 11 on 11 or certain parts where they're absorbing and learning something.
Yeah.
It's a little weird that he wasn't out there at all, especially if it's not serious.
Yeah, and that's why we hear, all last year he didn't have all X, Y, Z things, and I would just dovetail nicely into this narrative more if it was like Cam's hurt, but we're still gonna have him out there. We're still gonna have him, taking mental reps, and that's I don't know. It's maybe we're making too big a deal of it. I'm just frustrated that he can't go through this period, and again, we're kind of getting into area where. Well, he didn't get to do everything in the offseason,
Yeah,
I don't want to hear that stuff.
This is the guy that Bill told us he's our quarterback. Mm-hmm. So if he's your quarterback, like if Brady had like a bum finger or something, right, and he couldn't throw, like he most likely would still be out there watching, yelling at the defense, doing something to
or the offense,
or the offense. But no, but you know what I mean. Like we've seen that before, where a guy's injured and he still comes out.
And we shouldn't be comparing to anything that Brady does, but we're told that last year it hurt him not being here until late, and so now he's here, and now you're missing.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Like
It is,
you said, Deuce.
but Bill didn't seem at all like upset by it.
No.
And on the contrary, he seemed like kind of like it almost like was like a thanks for asking about it kind of thing.
Well,
like it was really
and
bizarre.
I guess if he's not upset, then maybe we shouldn't be.
It was a little different though. I don't know what to make of it. I'm with you, Freddie, but it was a little different. He didn't tell you what happened. He didn't tell you what was wrong.
No.
But usually, we'll see. We'll see who's out. He always makes it seem like when he's talking to you before a practice, he's not sure who's going to actually be at the practice.
Right.
When we all know at 9:30, he knows full well
exactly
who's going to be up for 11 o'clock.
Yep.
And this time he told you, but Cam's not going to be up at 11 o'clock. He won't be out there. I just thought was a little different. Yeah. Like in training camp, if that. I've seen him in training camp on the field, on the actual field, say, I don't know. We'll see who's out there.
Right.
While the players are streaming by him to get on the field. And this one, he told you in no uncertain terms, Cam won't be out there.
And it was weird
I don't know what it means, but it means something.
The reporter who asked the question phrased it in such a way as like it was almost like the reporter was trying to be cute and like saying like, hey, Bill, like we all know Cam's injured. So, like, don't, like, skirt around it. Like, we know he's injured. So, like, he's not – what's his status, right? It was almost – not like he was being aggressive about it, but just kind of being like, we all know it's true, so don't try to deny it. And Bill kind of, like, button-hooked him and was kind of like, oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, he's not going to be there, but it's nothing too serious. And, like, it totally threw me off guard. Like, that because he never does that.
Yeah. Yeah, well –
But maybe Fred's right. Maybe it's like he knows that this player is different and needs to be treated differently.
Well, what would be the opposite of what he usually does? Of I don't know, we'll see. How could that be interpreted by Cam? Like what would be if he did what he usually did? How could that possibly be negatively impacting Cam Newton or Cam's psyche or tipping his hand or that's just what I don't really get.
The other thing that we have to remember is since the end of the season in 2001, there hasn't been any question as to who the quarterback is here, and so we've never seen Bill manage the media with that situation. And so maybe that's why it's all new to us. It's because we've never seen him in this situation before. Yeah. That could be part of it too. He wants to downplay the whole quarterback situation as a whole. And, we've often said if he just said things, he wouldn't create as much media speculation. Well, that's what maybe he's doing here to just tamp us down on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, without Cam, I thought the offense looked a little better today. It seemed like they pushed back, and as we're seeing right here on NBC Sports Boston, they're showing Dante Hightower was there, the first time we've seen him this spring, which I know Mike Reese reported earlier in the day that he had been around the facility a little bit. So,
well, we knew he'd been around the facility.
Good to see those guys. Did we?
Because players have talked about him directly, like that he's been great in meeting room.
I don't know. I never heard explicitly that like he's.
I know Mayo last week indicated all virtual.
Yeah,
he said we want to see him. We want to see him was part of that quote that you had sent me.
Right.
So yeah, I thought he looked good too. I mean, I'm not talking about playing. I just meant he looked like he was in good shape.
Yeah, he did.
And was moving pretty well. And Mike actually pointed out to me a little powwow. I don't know if you noticed with Hightower, Van Noy, and Matt Judon. Sort of during one of the special teams periods, the three linebackers off to the side there.
Got me a little excited.
I like that stuff. I do. I like that stuff.
They were saying, so we're going to go with the boogeyman again, or what do you think?
Yeah, that's what it was. A pitch
I
session.
think little things like that, I think, are valuable and are lost when you have to do everything virtually, more so than actual playing.
Little side interaction, little funny ha-ha story.
Shooting the breeze.
Shooting the
Yep.
breeze.
You can't replicate that online,
No. Who else? I mean,
let's have a Zoom call to shoot the breeze after this Zoom call.
Yeah,
we'll go into a side room.
Hey, it's supposed to be the special teams time. Let's get on Zoom and talk off to the side about some of the things we might be able to do on like pass rush.
Oh, thank God that stuff is hopefully winding down. I know it's
let's not talk to Anthony Jennings today.
Not invited. We kicked him out of the room. Who else looked good? Zuber. I think Zuber continues to make some catches here and there. Jacoby Myers had a nice catch too. That was. Yeah, that kind of got the offense going a little bit. Last week we talked about the defense being real fired up, making plays, all hooting and hollering. And today it felt like the offense was – I mean, there were still a lot of checkdowns, a lot of, like, screen passes. But I thought today they had more little more downfield passing.
They made a few more plays,
which, as we were saying, no one wants to hear it, but
chirpy too.
But Brian Hoyer had some real nice throws.
He had a couple of very nice throws. Devin Asiasi made one of the best catches I've ever seen him make.
Yep.
Like on a fly pattern, and he beat the defense, and he had to outstretch, but he made the play. It was a great play. So there were a few individuals who made plays. There were a couple of guys who got maybe banged up a little bit as far as like minor tweak injuries.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it's anything too
Gunner had some catches. He had a nice catch,
quick.
like 20 yards downfield. Who threw that ball? Because that was a well-thrown ball, too. They dropped it right in there.
I don't remember.
It wasn't
that
Mac Jones.
Yeah, it wasn't Mac. I think it might have been Stidham.
Yeah.
But Jared, I felt like Jared got
a lot of reps.
A lot of reps.
Yeah.
A lot of reps. And it felt like a rookie day for Mac Jones. It felt like he was kind of.
He definitely got the least
on his
out of the three.
On his own little thing, a couple mop-up snaps here and there, but it didn't quite seem like he was, right in the mix and,
the other thing
and all that stuff.
We have to kind of put in context here, like for ourselves too, as much as for our listeners, is that we're getting to see probably like every third or fourth day of practice. So we don't know what's taking place on the other days when we're not here, how many reps any player is getting, what the practices look like when we're not here. We're only seeing, sporadically what's going on. So it could be that, Mac had a huge day yesterday.
Right.
And we'll never know because we weren't
They had to
privy
rest
to
his
see
arm.
it.
He was so tired from all the bombs he was throwing all over.
But in terms of how they looked, all the quarterbacks look good.
Yeah, everybody had their throws. I mean,
they had their moments.
Yeah, I mean, I think Stidham had more of a chance with the top guys, and as such, he completed some passes. But I thought the ball was coming out on time. It just looked like in rhythm of everything, and then defensively, it just seemed like they're just mixing and matching. I mean, you've got a ton of guys there. It's you can't really discern much. But I think we were looking a little bit. It seemed like they were kind of working on pass rush stuff and. Kind of working all in concert together in terms of
communication,
stunts and communication and all that stuff. So, every day is something new. I always think it's a fascinating process how they, build this huge thing bit by bit, drill by drill, little drill here, little drill there, starting to install your system and your expectations. And, it's just football's such a big game. There's so much going on. There's so many things to know, techniques, all that stuff.
Right, and I keep forgetting that this is your first time seeing it.
Like just the little
early,
bits of it, yeah.
Because you came in late in 2019, and then last year we obviously didn't have this period. So
it's interesting because it's contrast for me having seen. I've been to even before the last couple of years. I used to go to training camp a little bit, but contrasting it to that a little bit. So you see
by
some
training
drills,
camp they've already gone through all of this stuff.
Yeah, you see some of the drills. Like that's a little warm up thing that they like to do. That one where the quarterback throws it to the back and catches it and turns and runs through all the guys trying to knock it out. That stuff, warm up drills, but. But yeah, it was it was a good day. It kind of slowed down when they did punt return and kickoff.
Oh yeah, you got to have your special teams period. But the defense was definitely chirpy when they were making plays, like in the 7-on-7 period. That defensive backfield in particular gets. Yeah. When they're making a play, they let you know about it.
And now with D-Mac, was there. I mean, he's
that's right. He was
his
there
voice just rings out over everybody's. You can always tell when he is. But I think Mills is like that too. I saw Godchild like a little bit, but it's good. You love that stuff. It feels like they're coming together. And, after last year, everything's virtual. It's, to see a team on the field in June and they have like a little bit of energy to them. And it seems like guys are, feeling it and getting along well. It's just, that's exciting. I think those are the building blocks of the team. And, next week, I don't know how much more exciting it'll be, but
it's a beautiful
3 straight days. We'll
was
get some
Patricia
content.
out here today?
Oh, yeah.
He was?
Oh, yeah.
How did I miss him?
I don't know.
It's hard to miss him, yeah.
He's usually by he's by himself. He talked to Bill and Brian Belichick for a little while, saw them chatting, but yeah, he's just kind of floating. Like it just seems like I'm gonna go over here for a little bit.
It's a great gig if you can get it.
Oh my God, right? Like no, you don't have to talk to the media. You know, just like Bill, this is what I did today. All right, I'm gonna go home now.
All right, so that's basically the wrap up of practice. I mean, I think. Bourne had a nice catch.
He did. Bourne was good today, too.
I love how Fred just like individual plays, he just says, oh, he made a catch. Gunner, Bourne.
But it was a nice catch. It wasn't just a catch.
He had a few,
He's pretty, I think he's been pretty consistent, right?
He's had a few. I think he's
made a few plays every day.
I have been underwhelmed with those. Zuber's the guy that I have actually, and Mike and I talked about this on the YouTube hit that will be available tonight on Patriots.com.
Tonight?
On the Patriots YouTube channel. I think Isaiah Zuber has made a play in every practice that has made you say, oh, there's Isaiah Zuber again.
He did that
today.
in
He had a
games.
deep one from Hoyer in 7-on-7s. I want to see him in training camp with pads on and see how he looks and if he can continue. I think he's trying to make a run at like a top 4 receiver position. I haven't seen a tremendous amount from the other receivers. I think Gunnar looks really quick in terms of his special teams work, his punt returns.
Yeah.
He's darting all over the field. He's really quick.
All pro.
I'm not as enamored with him as a receiver as some other. I think he drops a lot of passes. I don't think his hands are very good.
He does. That's unfortunate because I love the guy.
And that's in drills and everything. Like again, non-competitive stuff. He's dropping the ball. That's what would kind of say maybe he doesn't have great hands. Maybe that's why we don't see him as much as a receiver.
But Zuber, picking up on Zuber, he last year was on the practice squad and got called up a couple of weeks in a row to the active roster. They actually put him in game. It's like he wasn't just like, we got to fill out the roster, let's just fill it. He actually got some playing time, like not a ton, but they thought enough of him as an undrafted rookie to activate him and give him some time last year. Now, granted, the wide receiver roster wasn't, stacked, but it says something.
Yeah.
And now he's, like Paul said, he's making a few plays now in the spring. He's had an off season now to be in the program. So I think he's a guy that has a chance. He's a guy that we should look at this summer when they do put pads on.
Yeah, and I generally agree.
I got my eyes on him.
Yeah, you do.
I'm watching him.
You got your big Twitter eyes.
Yeah, my Twitter eyeball emoji. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say I generally agree. I've kind of been, Bourne has been fine the first couple of days, but I thought today was the day that he had a volume of catches that kind of stood out to me, and just he looks smooth. He looks comfortable. He looks like he's kind of getting comfortable within the system. So I'm intrigued by him, and I want to see more of him in Aguilar, especially when things get real.
Yep.
Oh, it got real.
And there's also, there's been guys in and out, some veterans that you would think are going to have roles that haven't always been out there. Today there was some more we talked about already, some more of those veterans that were on hand, but I think that has given some more opportunities to the Zubers of the world, because they haven't had, I think Harry was out there 2 of the days but wasn't out there 1 of the days. Some of the other guys have been in and out, so I think there have been opportunities for Myers and Zuber and Bourne to catch a lot of passes, and that's why I think Zuber's, been noteworthy, because I think he's caught them all.
Yeah, and that's like that. Like to Eric's point of he's just one of those guys that has stayed healthy. Has when he gets a chance, he doesn't mess up. He doesn't seem to, when the ball is thrown to him, he's seeming to catch it, especially downfield. Which, that was I think too what stood out today. There was just more downfield passing. It wasn't all downfield passing.
No, but not all checkdowns.
Yeah,
not all dump
it wasn't
offs.
just every single
today
play.
Today was more balls downfield.
Yes.
Today.
There was a
than
concerted
the first
effort.
2 days combined.
Yeah.
Right.
They definitely worked on their progression of short, medium, long.
Yeah. And then that one to Asi was, from
There's
Boyer. It was
It
like,
looked like a lot of third down stuff today. So like they had to get the ball downfield. They had to get it past the sticks.
I know, that's why. Well, they have the stick out there with the third down, and I'm like, is that real? Are they really doing third down?
Sometimes you don't know you can get, but I just was going by personnel.
Yeah.
We thought early on the defense was working on some dime looks, and then Mike, you had mentioned that it looked like the linebackers and that some of the secondary guys might have been doing some combination pass rush kind of stunt work, and I think that's what they were working on was third down, like some situational work, that part of the installation. So that requires you to get the ball downfield. It's not always 3rd and 1. We can throw a screen and just pick up the first down. Sometimes it's 3rd and 12, and we got to throw the ball past the sticks.
Yeah.
Today you saw a little of that.
That was like last week, which I thought was interesting to both of us, and probably maybe interesting to the listeners. Was we heard Josh kind of coaching and mention something. This is how it is versus zone. But next week when it's man, and we kind of read between the lines of that the way they're kind of installing things is first we're going to do it all against zone defense, and then and then we show you how it's like with man. So it's just kind of the progression, how they break things up bit by bit by bit to put it all together. It's interesting.
And you hope that they retain half of it by training.
Oh, I know. And that remember that thing 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Here we go. What was it? Stressed me out just thinking about it.
Other than what Bill said about Cam during his press conference, anything notable this morning?
I think, Paul's been talking about it, is the hammering of that it's not competitive, and I think that there was an extensive answer given when they asked him, specifically just, and I thought the question was kind of well phrased where it was generally about rookies and, not even trying like, hey, how's Mac look? Like, just generally, what do you look for? And I mean, Bill went on a super long answer. I haven't looked at the transcript yet. I mean, it's probably the biggest answer you get, but it was the same thing. It was just that general, we're just trying to teach and build on what they know and know what guys can handle and what they can't. And you've got to teach some guys one way and other guys another.
Yeah, he definitely made a point to emphasize that this isn't an overly competitive part of the off season. What's going on in these practices. They're really trying to teach, especially the newer guys, the younger guys, what the system is. So to get all wrapped up in, evaluating who's playing where and how many snaps they're getting is a little ludicrous. And I think he's getting a little tired of hearing those kind of questions.
And I think when they mess up, it's kind of obvious. Like everything kind of shuts down for a second.
Right.
On the ball.
Everybody gather around,
and it's more like a pre-snap personnel, it's that stuff. It's not because you didn't throw the ball to the right guy or the guy didn't catch it. It's it's about the procedure just to get to actual football.
That's dangerous too, though, because you don't know when that happens.
I mean, it just seems
but
like
they did have some. I thought alignment issues. There looked like there were times where I think the quarterback may have started into a play before he should have, and they stopped. And that threw. I think there was a time where the receivers had started in motion when they were supposed to, but the quarterback had already started to do. And they had to stop, reset, get it going again. That kind of stuff. I don't like. You wouldn't know the physical stuff. That's all mental. You can kind of see when they stop and restart. But if a guy is throwing the ball to the left and you should be throwing it to right, based on the coverage or something like that.
You have no idea.
You have no idea on that. And that's some of the harder stuff. And I think there are times when, there was a ball thrown across the middle by Stidham today that drew a real crowd. Like, there was a lot of blue shirts around. And I'll bet that wasn't the proper read. Just by looking at it. Now, it may have been one of those that Bill just said, I know it's not the right read. I just run it. I just want to see it against this. There's a lot of different things that can happen. But speculating, there are times that you see some of those plays that don't look right. Mac Jones, looking rookie-esque at times too, like holding the ball a little bit and doing things. Like I said, I thought Hoyer today looked him up, but he should by far and away look the best in this setting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the
None of the
fundamentals.
other guys have anywhere near the experience.
He's
that
done
he
this,
has.
10 years now or whatever it is?
12. I think,
but
yeah.
here, he's done it.
Right.
Like in this system.
That's,
So there should be no comparison between him running a play with no pads as opposed to Mac Jones or Jarrett Stidham. This shouldn't even be close.
Yep. 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. 855-PATS-500. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address if you want to email us. What else? Any other news going around? NFL news? Stuff
No,
like
it seems
that?
like the preseason hasn't been officially announced. And then I saw that the New York Daily News was kind of reporting that the Patriots and Giants are going to have, or discussing to have preseason joint practices here instead of there. So they're going to have joint practices, I guess. Here is what they're talking about, and then
play the game
playing
there.
the game there as a way
Bill
to.
was asked about that too, and sort of said, "Well, it's a possibility. There hasn't been anything."
That was another
yet.
one I thought was a little. I mean, he didn't say definitively, but he didn't. We don't have anything. Like if he doesn't have anything to say, that one I think if you listen to him, it was pretty clear that they're working on it.
Yeah, and that's
it's happening.
And that's what we're trying to figure out is, how are we going to be able to get into practice? Like usually things close down. What after like 2 weeks?
After the second game.
Like after the second game, we don't
usually.
There might
watch
be a couple
practices
after the second game that we get to watch, but that's it.
Yeah. So it'll be a little different. I think that's really. And we'll have minicamp next week, and then things kind of break, and then it's just what are the details of training camp?
Literally, what are we doing?
Well, like Fred, we were talking the league has been talking to the teams, and Peter King's been writing about this for a few weeks now, about wanting to really kick off with a bang the start of training camp across the league, right? They want teams to do something, a little bit different to start training camp. So my guess is wherever camps are open, they're going to be open for the start of camp, just like always. And now you're talking about this last preseason game, that it's an effort. We're going to go to the other team's city to give the fans a chance if they only have one preseason game, according to the New York Daily News, right?
Yeah.
if they only have one preseason game, they're going to give an extra opportunity for the fans in that locale to maybe see some competitive practice.
Yeah.
So you're telling me you're going to have open camp from the start of the preseason to the end of the preseason. Something tells me Bill Belichick won't like that.
Well, they do pick up some extra days at the end that they don't usually have. So maybe, that closed stuff they can still get in if they do that.
Yeah, but you're still adding on to the amount of days that are open.
No, I know.
And I don't think Bill will like that.
Well,
I think Bill likes the bare minimum in terms of
course
open to the media, open to the public.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, especially this year after what transpired last year with no preseason, no fans at training camp, I think it wouldn't surprise me if they do open up almost all of training camp. I mean, we'll see. But we still are in the dark on a lot of this stuff. Honestly, if we knew anything and we were able to tell you, we would. But we still don't.
I mean, one of the big pieces is, and this specifically affects us, is that cutdowns are now on Tuesday. So you're going to play the last preseason game on a Saturday, and then that Tuesday you'll have cuts of 53.
And we'll have 3 rounds of cuts too.
And then prior to that there'll be 2 more, and then that'll be the final round. But and then you've got the team from Tuesday, whatever that is. Then 12 days of prep. So, it's just different for us. So you guys, spend Labor Day weekend.
We'll have a bye week in the middle of the
for all of,
middle of August.
Saturdays all the cuts.
Yeah.
Sundays all the practice squad signings,
Yep.
and then Monday is the big day of the first practice. Like that's out the window now.
Right.
So maybe they'll make it up to Bill a little bit where he'll have a private kind of extra, not quite a week, but certainly an extra 5-6 days.
But that's the key. It's like, okay, we have to prepare now for the Miami Dolphins. And I'll be damned if I'm going to open up that practice to anybody.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
That's my point. I don't think any more is going to be open.
Yeah.
I think teams will be in lockstep with the way you would think Bill would think.
But we might get the one
15, 16.
prior to the third preseason game. We might get access to that.
Yeah. And that would make sense.
I think whatever the number is, and I want to say it's like 15 practices.
Around there, something like that,
60, whatever that number is, I think it's going to stay the same.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it's something is closed in the middle along the way to give you an extra one at the end, but I don't think they're going to give you more.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they do. I mean, all up in the air right now.
I know. Well, that's. I mean, I assume they're all going back and forth about the training camp stuff, but that'll probably be the next thing to be announced, right? Like the dates and exactly when.
You'd hope so.
When it's open to fans, and I mean,
last year it came down to the wire.
I know. We got training camp tomorrow. Yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. San Francisco's closed up their practices.
Yeah.
They said that's it. That's it.
They don't need it.
We're done.
They don't need them.
Even no mandatory minicamp. Nothing.
Yeah, they did have a couple of significant injuries, but Shanahan had said that was already predetermined that they weren't going to have the minicamp.
Don't got to go
Nothing
home,
to
but
see
you
here.
can't
We
stay
got
here.
this. We got this.
Interesting. I mean, that's the whole Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo thing.
Mm-hmm.
So another team not too far of a different situation of. I mean, I just feel like every time I see those rookies out there, I'm like, thank God they're out there. They're getting work, compared to what they had last year. So, I don't know. Kyle Shanahan, I mean, he's got an amazing offense, so he knows what he's doing, right?
We'll see.
Anybody can do it. Just remember, anybody can do that offense. They don't win, but unless Garoppolo plays. But don't worry, anybody can run that offense. Don't worry about it.
And I hear speculation, Aaron Rodgers has not shown up for his practices, and I hear speculation that Denver might take a hard run at him.
Also heard Deshaun Watson's name associated with Denver, too.
That I thought was interesting. Kareem Jackson had said that, former teammate of Watson, that Watson had made it known that he'd like to play for Denver. I thought that was interesting.
Elway would finally have his quarterback at that point. He's been looking for a long time for a quarterback.
That would not be a good thing for New England.
That
adds another playoff team in the way.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson on Denver is a playoff team.
Yeah.
Okay.
That Denver team is not terrible.
Right. Yep.
It's one of your wild cards,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That team's not terrible. But Drew Lock is terrible.
Oh, I mean, Judy and
becomes a very
Cortland
competitive
Sutton.
division too. Like with you got
And they
Justin Herbert,
and they also had a ton
LA.
of injuries last year.
Yeah, they
Sutton,
did. Yeah,
Von
they
Miller. I know Von Miller's getting a little long in the tooth.
the
now,
running
but
back. You love their running back, right? Do you like their running back? Is he one of your guys?
That would be really hard for
Phillip
me to
Lindsay?
imagine.
Phillip Lindsay.
I don't really
Who
love
was?
running backs. Like, I can't really say that I love a running back.
I lose track of your
I do like the
your
pass
favorites.
catching backs more so than the Alvin Kamaras of the world. I like a lot more than the traditional Derrick Henry types.
Hey, you watch your mouth.
Sorry,
How can you not like Derrick Henry?
I didn't say I didn't say I didn't like him. I said I like the Alvin Kamara types better.
Okay, all right.
You certainly don't like him as much as I do.
No one does.
Yeah.
Mrs. Henry doesn't love him as much as I do.
All right, let's get to some of these emails. Start with Ethan in Indiana. Hightower's back at practice. With that given on paper, where does this defense rank all time? And what are your expectations for the season? I know we haven't seen anything yet, but I have a feeling this defense has potential to be better than the 17 season. If no injuries
Really?
occur,
Better
of
than
course,
that one?
it feels like we have a great player at every
Eyeball
position,
emoji.
Yeah.
except maybe right end or left end.
Yeah.
What was special about 17?
There wasn't.
I don't know.
I don't
they
know.
gave up
That's-
41 points in the Super Bowl.
Exactly. That's what was special about them.
I don't know.
There was no defense.
How about like 14 or
Right.
04?
Yeah.
Right.
Those were special in
Or
a good
even-
way.
Or 03.
Or
Right.
even 19. I mean, like 19 is what I'm comparing it to, and that's what I want to avoid. Like, and it was the great year of points that they didn't give up a lot of, but they kind of started great, and then they just kind of fizzled. And that's, nothing against the guys that are here now that, we're part of that, but that's what they have to avoid. They have to, and that's why I continue to talk about the young guys. I don't think that this is a team that can just go in and say we're going to rely this year on McCourty, Gilmore, Hightower, Van Noy, Judon, and that'll be our core. I think if those are the guys that you're leaning on, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to have to deal with injuries, and if none of those young guys step up, then I think then I don't think we're really talking about where this defense places stacking up against the real good defenses. It could if those young guys take those big steps, but I don't think you're going to salvage a top 10 Patriots defensive performance with those veterans. Like, you're going to need new pieces.
On
to
every
contribute.
great defense, elite defenses, there were elite players. And there's some
They're all
good
long in the
players
tooth.
on this team, but I don't know if there's any elite players. I mean, I'm including Gilmore there.
Yeah.
Who had that season was,
Yeah.
the defensive player of the year. So, that's the kind of performance you got out of him. You're going to get that out of one of those guys again? I don't know.
And the good players are, as you said, getting a little bit up
Now,
there.
I think the defense
they-
will be good.
I
I don't
what?
think it'll be great.
Right, and
It'll be good.
I was just going to say, I think they can be absolutely solid. They could be
Yeah.
a solid defense.
Well, can Kyle Duggar
But-
be better than,
but
what
but
they had then?
Denver, when Manning was on the team,
Oh,
or the Ravens,
That's historic.
Or the,
Seattle, the
Yeah.
Legion of Boom. Those
Oh,
were.
by the way,
By
the way,
finger in the air.
Coming in.
I know we get on the Patriots for allowing everybody into their Hall of Fame. They just put Peyton Manning
In the
in
Ring
the
of Honor?
Denver Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Okay, so
Here we go.
no, I don't just Fred,
Ding, ding, ding.
no. You know where I stand on these things,
Right.
But where are you on like Curtis Martin Patriots?
No, absolutely not.
Randy Moss
No.
Patriots.
He's a tough Hall of Fame judger. We know that.
I mean, really, okay, so
Rodney Harrison.
Peyton Manning was a great player in this league, and he was on our team, and we won a Super Bowl. But Peyton Manning did nothing to win that Super Bowl for you.
But he went to 2 Super Bowls in his 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He took you to twice.
Yeah, they got spanked in
And
one.
they won
and they
one.
won
He
the
didn't
other
take
one.
them to the second one. He was
No,
he
the
was a
defense did.
passenger.
No,
He was a
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I wouldn't like. I would err on the side of no. I agree with.
I mean,
you.
the Ring of Honor in Denver is supposed to be something pretty
Right.
special. Now, maybe if I'm a Denver fan, I'm like, they let in a bunch of bumps there. It's not that big a deal. Maybe their bar is low. I don't know, but
Well,
I
you've
just
been
thought.
there. We've been there. You've seen
Yeah,
the Ring of Honor
I can't
names.
remember
but I
every
don't-
name.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
You haven't committed to memory.
No, but I
Randy,
mean, like-
Randy Gratishar.
What? I think he is on there.
Oh yeah, I love Randy
Yeah.
Gratishar.
Carl Mecklenburg.
Why do you mock me so much?
No, I love it. It's just
Steve
the most
Atwater.
random name in the whole world. And
was a
Eric's like,
great
I
player.
love him.
Randy Gratishar, I love
He
him.
was a real. But Fred used to be a huge
I know,
Broncos.
that's
fan.
why I know. I
The
wasn't.
Broncos had success at one time, so he was a big Broncos fan.
Who does Fred like now? Well, this making me feel like there's going to be like a pissing contest between the Patriots and the Buccaneers when Brady retires, of like who's going to do the more over the top ridiculous
10 years from now
stuff.
when Brady
I know,
retires?
if he retires.
and he's
But,
won
you
4
know,
more Super Bowls?
I mean, I'll be upset, but imagine the average Patriot fan if Tampa does a lot for
Oh,
him.
like they've got him like
Oh, you should. He's hard. You shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
Oh, it's,
they put him on the pirate ship. They
but I can,
fire him out of a cannon.
That's when I'll be jealous. That's when I'll
If
be
they
jealous.
do like
But, I'm half joking, but like, what if he does play till he's 50, and goes to like 3 more Super Bowls and wins 1 or 2 more.
Oh, they'll have to do
They'll
something.
have to do something.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, they're already
Right?
doing something. Come on. They're already doing something. He could retire tomorrow, and his 12 is retired in Tampa Bay.
That was Trent Dilfer's number, wasn't it?
Good. Forget about that.
How would you feel about that?
What? What? Exactly.
Brady in Tampa.
But tell me exactly what am I feeling?
He's inducted into their Hall of Fame when he's done.
Yeah, like, when did he retire?
I get
like
right.
next year?
2 years from now.
And they waive the waiting period.
And they win.
waive the waiting
and
period.
maybe
Well,
they,
I don't need anything special, but
automatic.
and maybe they win another one. They would probably have
So it's
to. He was the
if
quarterback.
he wins 2,
Yeah.
but if he loses the other one, no.
No.
No,
they
I'm big on it needs to be a combination of excellence and some longevity. I mean,
Yeah, and-
4 years is a short amount of time.
And
but,
like you said
but
about
if
Manning.
you believe Parcells should be in the Patriots Hall of Fame, then you should
But coach
believe
is- but coach is
Brady
a little
different,
should
though.
be in there.
It's
But
a little different.
coach is
He
different.
transformed the culture on the
right,
team.
and that's why I would say coaching is different.
But
No,
they
but-
said the same thing of Brady.
Well, but Brady actually did. Like you said about Manning, Manning was a passenger on that second Super Bowl that
Right.
they went to. Brady was the reason they won the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
and we were told.
but Manning was also the reason that they got that good. Now, by the end, he couldn't play anymore, but he transformed the team.
Hence the name
Right?
NAF, right? Isn't that where you came
Well,
up
he
with
won
NAF?
a lot of games when he first got there.
But he was he won a lot of games this last year, but he had nothing to do with them.
Right. That's true.
But he had everything to do with the first 3 years. I'm good with you, Fred. I'm not that this is not net. I don't need need to have guys that played 3 or 4 years on my Hall of Fame. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Pop.
Yeah.
Buccaneer legend, Tom Brady.
Mack looks a little bit like Will Perillo in this shot to me.
There's no question that he looks a little like Will Perillo, but he also literally looks like he's Will Perillo's age.
Especially on
Like
the Zoom call.
I know we're getting
Wow.
old, Freddie, but man, these kids are just getting younger and younger.
Kids are
every
looking
year.
young.
That was the first time I felt old was when Mac Jones walked in here, and I was just like, oh, God. Like, you still kind of think as college guys, maybe as your contemporary, but
Like college. Like you feel like you could be in college and see men and women
hang out. I'm cool.
You don't.
I'm hip.
You don't. They're boys and girls still.
And plus, like a lot of the athletes in college, like they have some facial hair, like mustaches are big now, but he's like all clean shaven.
Yeah.
Yep. You got that baby face.
Yeah.
I know. Look at him. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say today. So we get to hear from all the rookies today, or not all the rookies.
A lot of them, yeah.
Stevenson, him. It runs the gamut. You go from the first round to the fourth round with Stevenson to the seventh round with Trey Nixon, and then the undrafted kicker.
We had a funny visual of Ramondre Stevenson and J.J. Taylor having a little chat, and it was like twins
Contrast.
with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Ramondre
Wow.
Stevenson's a big guy.
He is,
He is.
and he fills out that
Yeah.
uniform.
I'm actually just writing about that a little bit, and just the image of him standing next to J.J. Taylor. It
Yeah.
was like a picture of siblings that are 5 years apart.
Yeah.
That was the difference. In
See,
size.
I like that. Mercury Morris and Larry Zonka. You bring back that. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, lot of teams have had a lot of success with that kind of mentality over the last 10 years.
But aside from the visual, though, I mean, just what kind of struck me with that is that, JJ's a second-year undrafted rookie, and he's the one that looked like he was kind of giving him some coaching tips. So it just kind of speaks a little bit to their depth right now. I don't think it's hopefully everybody's back, but it seems like Damian Harris has been progressing over the course of camp and slowly seen more activity.
He was a little active today.
Yeah, so we'll see maybe hopefully Sony next week and then get back in gear with those guys.
Bill in Vail, Colorado. Haven't heard from him in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He says, Fred is king. Greetings, men, and Eric, the intellectual Cliff Clavin. I use the Fred.
It's a little-known fact.
I used the Fred is king subject line because I wanted to bring up something that I haven't heard anyone talking about in regards to Week 4. That would be, I'm curious as to how Bill will scheme up a game plan to defend Trader Tom. Of all the coaches in the league, Tom has never faced Bill. And if anyone knows Tom and how to stop him, I think it would be Bill. What say you? We talked a little bit about that on Tuesday.
Knowing how to do it and
can I
executing
ask the flip side, devil's advocate, is if anybody in the league would know how to beat Bill, wouldn't it be Tom?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, he faced him every day for 20 years.
Well, But Tom is Tom, and Bill,
but
Bill
I
has a
think
bunch
the
of players.
Coach
that he
has
can
a
kinda
little
do
advantage there
different
because
things
he's
with
got
a little bit.
11 guys to help him, and Tom is just.
But Tom probably has a sense of,
No, but you don't think, like,
what he's
in
gonna try to do to
theory,
me.
what's Bill going to do? He's going to say, these are the things that you need to do to beat Tom, and he needs his players to do it.
And Tom knows that he knows what he knows.
Right, but in theory, that's what would happen,
Yeah,
right?
right. It's
Bill,
a chess game.
No, but Bill would say, these are the things that he does, and this is what you're going to need to do to stop it. And Tom's going to say, these are the things he's going to do to try to stop me. This is what you need to do to beat that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we'll see who wins.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why I think it just
Unless it's psychological.
That could happen.
it does. And I think, like, I always love Eric Mangini.
I could see Tom folding under the pressure.
Oh wait.
Okay.
I think Eric Mangini, when he was with the Browns, talking about, if you're not lying, you're not trying with Brady, and that you have to every snap disguise what you're doing. And I think the pass rush up the middle, that's what it is. But I just think the biggest part of it, you got to finish. Like there's no lead that's going to be safe against those guys. Like there's nothing that's going to make me feel comfortable. Like, oh, the Patriots have got him today. Like, because in any second he can turn it around and they can start all of a sudden boom, 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 and three scores are on the board.
The last thing you want is a close game where they get the ball at the end.
So it's more a veteran thing. I need mentally tough, and that's when we talk about Judon and Van Noy and Hightower out there. It's like just looking at those three guys together. It's like, these are the guys that we need. These are the guys, to go into that kind of a game that, we're going to be able to not only physically win one-on-one matchups, which I think is, just imperative against Brady, because he's going to know if you're trying to blitz him or you're coming somewhere, he knows.
I think
he's going to pick you apart.
What's more likely? The Bucs come here and blow out New England, or it's a close game, last team with the ball wins?
I think the second. I really do.
I want to believe that. I mean, right now, I gotta say, Bucs blowout.
What is more likely?
Bucs
blow out
the
Patriots, or it's a one-score game. Last team with the ball wins.
Wow. Right now, I don't know how you cannot say blowout.
That's what
I mean, a lot of things can change. A lot. I mean, all of a sudden.
Oh, of course.
I'm projecting.
In 3 months, you could see the Patriots with competent quarterback play, and I could have a whole different
outlook
on the season.
Just a little fun game right
now. If Stidham or Newton, Mac Jones, whoever, all of a sudden we watch training camp and we're like, wow, this offense can be this offense can be sneaky tough to defend. I think that changes the entire outlook of what you think now. But right now,
the Super Bowl champion who brought back all the players and had the best quarterback
playing
in the league.
against a team that I think will struggle on offense.
I think the challenge with playing Brady is you're not going to beat him mentally. You're not going to do anything out there that's going to fool him, with looks and all that. You just have to beat him physically.
Yeah.
You need to get that pass rush up the middle. You need to make that pocket really small, and most of the pressure coming up the middle, so he has nowhere to step up. And you can't overthink it. That's how you're going to beat him.
Yeah.
Right, and it's
and if you can't stop the run, so that he can turn to that, then you might have a chance, or you won't have a chance. I should say.
I think of it too because, there were certain places, Denver, Miami, where even in the years where the Patriots were clearly the dominant team in the league, they would go to those places and Brady and the team would struggle. So it's going to be, to me, a fascinating dynamic to see how, for the first time in his career, he plays the team that he spent 20 years with. And is this one of those places where, he, maybe in weeks 1 through 3,
something a little
he's
off.
Tearing up the league, and then he comes to New England, and all of a sudden it's
right.
I'm too he gets.
Could we be his
Achilles heel now with Tampa?
That's what I was.
I don't know. That could happen.
I was so impressed with him
Absolutely
down the
don't
stretch
rule
and in
that
the playoffs last year was that just how relaxed he looked through that whole playoff stretch. Where it wasn't. There were plenty of playoff games that we watched with the Patriots with him that, you're like, what's going on?
Look
today?
at the second half in Green Bay, when he just inexplicably threw 3 picks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and be stunned if he maybe gets a little too amped up. He starts with the high-pitched voice, and he makes a couple of errant throws because that's going to be a really, really important game. I mean, his father said that he doesn't even think, frankly, it'll be a close game.
I know,
And
frankly.
And then I think about like his
Frankly,
teammates
my
though,
dear,
too.
I don't
Like
give a damn.
I wonder, are his teammates knowing how much this means to him? Are they going to play a little tight? Are they going to play a little bit?
And
you
that
know?
could happen. I'm with Mike on the prediction
Right
as
now.
of today, June 10th, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'll take the team with the great quarterback versus the
I'll
team
take the
trying
personnel.
to figure out who their quarterback
I'll take the
is.
personnel. I mean, they have better personnel right now. That doesn't mean they'll have better personnel in October.
It's interesting. Eric mentioned Patriots going to Denver, and Mike Shanahan was a coach that Bill had a lot of respect for. Always seemed to have good words to say about him, and wondering why isn't he. And it could be because Mike Shanahan had Bill's number maybe a little bit, and kind of knew how to coach against Bill.
Game plan guy too. But
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
And so, I think that has a lot to do with it. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody, myself included, are, especially just football X and O fans of I know there's going to be probably plenty of breakdowns on what, Bill tries to do to him. But I think your point is the best one, Fred. It's you're not going to fool him. Like, you're going to have to line up and win one-on-one matchups and say, look, we're in cover one right now. You got to find who's going to win. And we and our guys are going to try to get to you before you figure it out. And that's probably what the game's going to come down to. It's not going to be Brady looks befuddled in the pocket. What is going on with that defense? I mean, I'm sure they'll have some twists for him. And I think that's one of the things that the Patriots do well is, kind of changing and not really letting you get a beat on things. But
unless you can put 12 guys out there or 13, it's still 11 guys out there. And Brady's been doing this for 20-plus years. He's seen it all.
Yep.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
And
that's why, at least on paper, defensively, I feel like they got some guys to cause some problems for Tampa. They have man corners. They can play. They can line up against those guys. Jonathan Jones against Antonio Brown, and we'll see how all that fits together. But having those versatile kind of pieces up front to mix and match, keep guys fresh. Hopefully that they have a full contingent of pass rushers because. If you don't have pass rushers, I think that it's a non-starter.
Oh, God.
If you can't get after him and
he burns you when you blitz him.
Right.
Forget it.
Yeah. Yep. So, Solman in the Bay Area writes in, a friend shared a post this morning that Sam Darnold has not gotten the COVID vaccine and was still evaluating the situation. He added that Coach Rule was letting players make their own choice whether or not to get it. Just curious. Have you heard what is the Patriots' approach to the vaccine? I believe legally some employers, such as my own, can't require employees to get vaccinated. I thought it's federal workplace law. Any word what the Pats are advising, though, for the players and staff? I don't think they can force them, but they can make rules that are different for people who are vaccinated versus aren't.
Incentivize
So they
it.
make it. They try to make it as.
They're trying to encourage people.
Yeah,
but that's
without
the country
actually
in
coming out and
general.
doing
You
it.
can't force any person, and this is a
take
free
a
country.
shot? No.
You
Right.
can't force someone to take a shot.
I mean,
and
if you have a baby, you can't force the kid to get a polio shot.
right.
You can't force.
Right.
Yeah.
There are people, there are anti-vaxxers. I mean,
Exactly.
there are people who don't believe in vaccines. I mean, legitimate, not like, I'll keep my personal feelings to myself there. I almost said something that would have clearly led to some problems later on Twitter. But there are a lot of people who don't believe in medicine or our medicine, modern medicine.
Yeah.
And they have every right to everything that you and I have. That I assume that we everybody in this room has been vaccinated.
Yep.
So that doesn't mean that we're right.
Well, we are.
So the teams can't dictate that, and I don't know if there are going to be a lot of teams that reach that supposed 85% threshold.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen.
You don't think so?
I didn't say I didn't. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Oh.
I don't think there are very many teams that have done it.
Right now,
in pro
I
sports.
heard
Some
something.
have.
It's like 50% of the players have been vaccinated.
In the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes more sense to me.
Do we know what it is here?
I don't know. I don't know.
They asked Bill about it today, but
They ask him about it every time,
He's
and
not going
he's
to
not gonna
get
get into
divulge that.
What are you going to say?
But I think you're right, Fred. They do have different protocols in place for those who have and haven't.
Oh
Yeah.
it's
been
extensive
vaccinated.
too. I mean, it's like if you have a close contact, you
Right.
don't have to quarantine or any of that stuff. So
Which is like a subtle way of encouraging people to get vaccinated.
Right.
And I think that's like the question that you wonder is like, is this going to be untenable when you get to the season? Is it going to be like, we just can't manage these 12 guys that don't have, it's just too hard. Like, is that slowly going to be too difficult where all of a sudden, hey, player X is out this week? Why? he had a close contact. You know, I mean, like it just
Well,
seems
but after
like
last
things are
year-
going to happen.
After
you know?
last year, you'd think they'd have some experience with shifting things around and going week to week, even day to day with how the things are.
But if you don't have to,
I know if you don't have to, but-
I'm not saying everything Paul says is valid. You can't make people do it. I'm just saying when the rubber meets the road and you get into the NFL season and games are happening and practices are happening and things are happening and some guys are on a whole nother playing field in terms of what they have to do and deal with. It's going to get complicated. It's going to get difficult, and you wonder if that factors into decisions that the coaches are going to have to make.
I think unlike last year, I think individuals will now be dealt with individually.
Yeah.
I don't think it will affect teams the way it did last year.
or schedules.
As an example, this past week.
Yeah, if a guy gets down, I don't think they're going to cancel a game if a guy gets
Right.
COVID.
Reschedule
No, they're
a
going to
game.
remove the one guy.
Right, exactly.
which
you
is
know,
different
and
from
like-
departure from last
Right.
year. Where
Right. Like last year, there was close contacts. There was all this stuff that, they couldn't practice. They had to close the facility. I don't think that's going to happen this year.
No.
I think they're going to take a guy who tests positive
Yeah.
and remove him from the equation.
Yeah.
And that guy won't be able to play.
Right.
Which will be the same as last year. But if you looked at an example of what happened over the weekend, I don't know if you followed this at all, Fred. The golf tournament, the Memorial.
Oh, yes.
On the
Rahm?
PGA, John Rahm had like a 6-stroke lead after Saturday, and he did not test positive. He was deemed a close contact.
Right.
And then, all the week, and then he tested positive like on the Saturday, his rapid test, I guess, that morning. And when he completed his round that Saturday, despite the fact that he had the lead, they went up to him and told him, you can't play tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he didn't win.
Right.
As a result. They didn't make all the other people that were with him not play.
Right.
He was removed.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going to happen. And if you, especially if you have like, let's say like Cam Newton last year tested positive. Well, if the rest of the offense is vaccinated, there's no issues whatsoever with the rest of the offense.
Right.
It's just Cam Newton will have to come
Yep.
out. I think that's the way it's going to be
hope.
approached.
855-PASS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. Let's go to it. Melvin's in Tennessee. What's up, Melvin?
What's up, y'all? What's going on?
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, I got of course, I've been hearing people talk, a lot of fans talking about the, expectations for the defense. And I'm far from that. Like, you all already touched on it, stating that even if they're good, like, that's very hard to take a good defense and take it to a championship level. That's far from it. You have to be historic, like you all mentioned, Denver, maybe Seattle a little bit, unless you have a couple of Hall of Famers on the side of that defense. And still, you're going to have to need some production from your offense. You're not going to be in a position to where you should be, like, in championship caliber team, in my opinion. I think it's going to take a stride for them, in my opinion, to be good, based on what I saw last year. So if they can somewhat form to be a good defense, that'll give them a shot to even, I'll probably get them around 9-something wins maybe, but eventually, like you all have said, it's going to come to the offense. All this defense wins championship, and defense and running the ball, I'm just done with that. As you can see, it's really hard to do that, extremely hard to do that. You're going to need production from your offense, especially your quarterback. So that's kind of where I am. I just want to see the defense be good and to even give us a shot. That's all I got.
Okay.
So I'll talk to y'all later.
All right. I think you're going to get that. I think you're
so.
going to get a defense that gives you a shot.
They should be.
You
I don't. It's hard to compare them to last year. I mean, that team started out shorthanded and only got more shorthanded as the season went on. I think they got good pieces. I just don't know how it's going to all come together. But I think the top line, they got some veterans. I think that'll be enough to get them out of the gate and to establish a level. Now, if Uche and Barmore, if those guys are pass rush terrors, then you're talking about something. I think also my big wonder about the defense is how does the secondary come together? McCourty's kind of been Jason McCourty had been a kind of key part the last few seasons, and I think he was a valuable guy. When guys were out, he could kind of fill in, and the depth behind Gilmore and Jackson isn't really there as much. So I just want to see how Miles Bryant, how does he develop? How does Jalen Mills kind of fit in? Is he a safety? Is he a cornerback? How does it all come together? But I think they've got pieces to be really good.
Yes or no? If Christian Barmore is Defensive Rookie of the Year, the Patriots make the playoffs.
Yes.
I need information on the quarterback.
I know, but
Like,
he is defensive rookie of the year, meaning
12 sacks.
No, I'm going to say no.
No, okay.
Do they make the playoffs? Yeah.
Like I need, like it's the same as the Tampa Bay thing. If I have to answer today, I'm answering based on what I'm watching on offense. They will not score a lot of points based on what I'm seeing right now.
I will say though, a lot of times those awards seem like it's the best player on a terrible team. Like it's
the
like
guy who plays a ton,
13,
right.
but he had 15 sacks.
Right.
It's not usually.
I'm gonna go no.
A surprising
so
rookie.
If you said if Joe Burrow is the offensive rookie of the year, Cincinnati makes the playoffs.
Right.
Well, no, actually, they're not even going to win any games.
Yeah.
You know, like who's playing quarterback? Are they scoring any points?
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be great though for the future if he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you don't want him to be defensive rookie of the year.
Right.
Of course you do.
Yeah. No, he's a real
They should
wild
be.
card.
I expect the defense to be better than
How about
last
Ronnie
year.
Perkins? What if he's defensive rookie?
Ronnie.
I
just want the defense
No,
to be
then they'll
better.
be-
Like Melvin said, I
Also
want them to be
wins.
better than last year. And I think with the players they've added, they should.
The defense
Make-
should be
That's
improved.
the idea.
Right.
The defense should be
I
improved.
don't
You don't
expect
spend
them
all
to
that
be
money
historic.
thinking
on
status
veterans
quo.
too. It's not like they brought in
Right.
like kids. They brought in guys with track records that
Right.
are veterans.
Right.
That should be. Jalen Mills should help them. Right. Matt Judon
Absolutely.
should help
Yeah.
them.
Absolutely.
It's not just draft picks. It's not just Barmore and Perkins. They brought in veterans that should be better. Van Noy should help them.
I mean, you're talking about going from John Simon as your like lead edge setting guy against the run to Judon. I mean, that's just there's no comparison there. But I think if they're really going to be good, I don't want, like I said before, I don't want the veteran defense that comes out and looks great the first couple weeks and then it's all right. They figure out what they're doing and then people start to catch up with them. It's got to be new problems. It's got to be Barmore. It's got to be Uche. It's got to be Winovich has to continue to develop. Those guys have to start making impacts and take the mantle from Van Noy and Hightower and those guys.
Claire in West Midland, UK.
Oh.
I need to know absolutely. I don't see absolutely everything, but I need to know what happened to Hunter Henry.
I don't think that's anything.
Yeah,
serious.
I don't think it's too serious.
He
tangled up.
He ran a short, like a shallow cross. Looked like he got tangled up with a defensive back. I want to say it was 30. Who's number 30?
Colbert. Adrian Colbert.
Adrian Colbert. And he got up. He was down with the trainer for a little while between the practice fields. Looked like he took. Was that not right?
No, it was right.
It was like the
it's a
first
name
time
that,
Eric's
like,
ever heard the name.
Yeah.
Is that Do? I thought it was Do.
And it looked like he maybe took his cleat off, sock off, maybe got
Yeah.
retaped.
He might have had a pebble in his shoe. Somebody said.
Mike speculated maybe a pebble in his shoe, but it looked like left foot
Yes.
/ ankle.
Yeah.
He did some jogging, looking like
It might be jogging. Soft J.
And I don't know. He looked like he was moving around okay. He was hopping down on one foot on the bad, hopping on.
I don't think it's a
foot.
long-term concern.
No.
He didn't do much after that.
He did go in for like he stood there for like a field goal attempt,
Right,
but I don't.
But I don't
think
think that's
crazy.
anything to be concerned
No.
about.
All right, we're going to
Famous
take a
last
break.
words.
When we come back, more of your emails coming in here on Patriots Unfiltered.
We are patriots, and our standards are a little different. We don't just carry the hopes of a city, but the hopes of an entire region. For us, no uphill battle is ever too high to climb, and our favorite ring is the next one. Our job isn't done until the final down is played, and everyone knows we gave it our all. We, the fans, march forward with the power to do what it takes, just like we've done time and time again. We are the home field advantage. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the New England Patriots and stand with them as they defy the odds. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
There's no season better than football season. And there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. To add to the thrill, DraftKings has millions of dollars in prizes up for grabs every week. So head to the app now and check it out. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy football is easy to play. Just pick 9 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for yards, touchdowns, receptions, and so much more. There's no better way to put your football knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at $1 million in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week. That's promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week, only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Some people are never content with simply being good. Not when they can be great. But it takes a big step to get there. In fact, it takes a leap of faith, a belief in what you're striving toward, and a willingness to make the commitment, day in and day out, to something bigger than yourself. Putnam is proud to partner with those who share their own commitment to performance excellence. This is Matt Light for Putnam Investments, a world of investing. Some people are never content with simply being good. Not when they can be great. But it takes a big step to get there. In fact, it takes a leap of faith, a belief in what you're striving toward, and a willingness to make the commitment, day in and day out, to something bigger than yourself. Putnam is proud to partner with those who share their own commitment to performance excellence. This is Matt Light for Putnam Investments, a world of investing.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
We deliver jerseys, funny foam fingers, and everything you need for the game. But what you really get is so much more.
FedEx Delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
How did Verizon build the fastest 5G in the world? We started by building it right with 5G Ultra Wideband. Then we gave it massive capacity and near zero lag. And it's not just fast, it's 25 times faster than today's 4G networks. This is 5G built right from the network more people rely on. Only on Verizon. 5G Ultra Wideband available only in parts of select cities. Global claim based on open signal independent analysis. 25 times analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q2 2020.
At Patriot Place, our restaurants and entertainment venues continue to go above and beyond all health and sanitization protocols to ensure we are welcoming our guests back safely. At all our venues, you will see frequent and thorough sanitization, socially distanced seating, and mandatory face masks. Whether you choose to dine indoors, outdoors, or takeout, you can feel good about dining safely. Everyone at Patriot Place looks forward to seeing old and new friends soon.
We are patriots, and our standards are a little different. We don't just carry the hopes of a city, but the hopes of an entire region. For us, no uphill battle is ever too high to climb. And our favorite ring is the next one. Our job isn't done until the final down is played. And everyone knows we gave it our all. We the fans march forward with the power to do what it takes. Just like we've done time and time again. We are the home field advantage. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the New England Patriots and stand with them as they defy the odds. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
There's no season better than football season. And there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. To add to the thrill, DraftKings has millions of dollars in prizes up for grabs every week. So head to the app now and check it out. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy football is easy to play. Just pick 9 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for yards, touchdowns, receptions, and so much more. There's no better way to put your football knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at $1 million in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week. That's promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week, only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Some people are never content with simply being good. Not when they can be great. But it takes a big step to get there. In fact, it takes a leap of faith, a belief in what you're striving toward, and a willingness to make the commitment day in and day out to something bigger than yourself. Putnam is proud to partner with those who share their own commitment to performance excellence. This is Matt Light for Putnam Investments, a world of investing. Some people are never content with simply being good. Not when they can be great. But it takes a big step to get there. In fact, it takes a leap of faith, a belief in what you're striving toward, and a willingness to make the commitment day in and day out to something bigger than yourself. Putnam is proud to partner with those who share their own commitment to performance excellence. This is Matt Light for Putnam Investments, a world of investing.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
We deliver jerseys, funny foam fingers, and everything you need for the game. But what you really get is so much more.
FedEx Delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
How did Verizon build the fastest 5G in the world? We started by building it right with 5G Ultra Wideband. Then we gave it massive capacity and near zero lag. And it's not just fast, it's 25 times faster than today's 4G networks. This is 5G built right from the network more people rely on. Only on Verizon. 5G Ultra Wideband available only in parts of select cities. Global claim based on open signal independent analysis. 25 times analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q2 2020.
And now, great moments in history.
You all did a great job covering the draft, and I'm glad Mike actually turned up this year. As he brought his A game, he has gone from sneaky negative to sneaky positive recently, which is great.
He really has.
Yeah.
Really has. None more better illustrated than Mac Jones.
Yep. One question, how would you know what it's like? You know why?
He did a U.
No, because he got spurned by the girlfriend, and now he was without.
Yeah, that would have made
now
sense.
Now he's got a new girlfriend.
Pre-draft, that would have made sense, but he wasn't as high on him pre-draft as he has been post-draft.
But now he's got
Don't think that has gone beyond
now
notice, my friend.
He's our guy.
My friend.
We got our guy. He realizes, she's not that bad. We watch Netflix. It's good.
Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah. I wish I wasn't too old to do that.
That's another great moment from
All right, back here in Patriots Unfiltered, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Webradio@patriots.com is the email address. Steve in South Carolina writes in, I think the defense is very underrated. Revamped D-line, which gives Deuce some movement.
Love it.
Strong linebacker core, and a borderline elite secondary. Fred, what's your points per game prediction? I have to see pads in order to make a prediction.
How can it be underrated when people are asking if it's the best defense they've ever had?
Right.
Only a few people are saying that, Paul.
I just need to see it come together, and that's. I think when you get to this point, when you have guys that have been around a while, the end can kind of come quick, and everyone thinks we have an elite secondary, but I need to see them continue to produce, because after Gilmore went out, it doesn't quite look the same, and they've lost some pieces. So can they maintain that level? I think that's very important to them. I think that's an important part of the team, is having a bunch of secondary, cornerbacks, safeties that can do a bunch of things. So it's just, how is it all going to come together? That's the question, Game plan,
solid
performance.
Secondary. Maybe, one of the better secondaries in the league. Elite, that's taking it.
They got to capture some magic from a couple seasons ago that they had early in the season and haven't really had since.
No, go ahead.
Will in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Love the show. Enjoy listening on car rides to and from work. I'm ready to see the team on the field. I have a non-football related question. I'm visiting my girlfriend's extended family of about 40 people in New England whom I've never met. As someone who has lived in Pennsylvania all their life, what advice do you have to make a good impression on a big group of rowdy New Englanders?
Know what sport teams you're rooting for and how to defend.
I hate to play Fred, but I need to know where from New England they are. Like, if
important.
they're from Maine, it's different than,
Connecticut,
Connecticut, or South Boston's different from Vermont. I need to know where they're from.
I think if you're in real Boston, it's easy because you just talk Boston sports. You'll be fine.
Bring beer.
Yeah, bring beer.
Yep.
Sam Adams.
Complain about Tuca. You hate Tuca. You're happy for Brady.
You hate Tuca.
But you're a little bit sad watching
Tucker.
Tucker.
You're a goalie apologist.
I'm just trying to think of all the things that like if you just had to come in as here's your packet for welcome to Boston, and you need to
is 5-13 in elimination.
See if you can get invited to a clam bake.
I'm done with him now, though, Paul. I'm done with him now. You gave him his last chance, and I think.
And
it's
ironically, I don't think he
reset.
had anything to do with last night.
No, it's just the Bruins. They were
cost them Game 5. Though.
I'm a defense apologist. That's what I am, and that's where I start. When their defense was that bad, it was like. When Matt Barzal has four whacks at it at the post, they're like, what goalie is supposed to stop that? How about, hey, defenseman, you pick that guy up. Not, that's just my. I was a defenseman. That's what I think.
Right. A little hockey talk.
Sorry, we got off track.
855 past 500. Sean's in Vancouver. What's up, Sean?
Hey, though. Hey, Fred. On Tuesday, you had a prediction before Pad, and you're talking about Aguilar with the 50 receptions, and it was mentioned that's what he should at least get. But you know what? To me, that's not the metrics. I don't know what he's going to do, but that's not the metrics I'm really looking for. Because last year, he had 48 receptions for almost 900 yards and 8 touchdowns. So the thing that happened in Vegas that didn't happen in Philly is he was a deep threat. I don't think he really panned out as like a slot receiver or someone over the middle, because you heard in Philly all those years about people complaining about his drops, but 2018 he had 3 drops, 2019 4 drops. Last year he had 5 drops, and no one's talking about it because he's going deep. And I think that's what the Patriots need. So I'll be happy if he does the same thing as he did last year instead of 2017 where he had 62 receptions for 768 yards.
I think it's a good observation. I'm curious myself. Are they – because I always thought there was lots of connections with people being like, oh, Nelson Aguilar, he fits in New England when he was coming out, and early on, maybe even like trade speculation over the years. But you're right. I think that was that old kind of version of Aguilar. And then last year, there was that deep threat. And I think a lot of the plays, though, it wasn't like he was running go routes and they were just hitting. Like a lot of those plays that he made were like late in the down,
broken
it breaks
plays.
down, and he gets free, and Carr chucks it down the field.
They're broken plays. I totally agree with you, Mike.
Not sustainable.
And his numbers, like, he's never been a good percentage catcher. Like, I don't know. I'm not talking about drops because I don't necessarily like the stat of drops because I think people have a different opinion of it. But 82 targets, 48 catches. That means about half the time you throw the ball to him, it's an incomplete pass. That's what he had last year. That's his good year, quote unquote. And that's what he is throughout his career. I mean, Sean is right. Last year he was more of a downfield guy, by far and away his highest average per catch, not even close, 18.7 yards.
18.7, yeah.
I mean, that's by far and away his best season in the pros. But he still was like a 50-50 proposition of whether or not the play was successful. And that, obviously the numbers are a little better when he was.
Well, I need to know, like, how is he, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, do the percentage, if the percentages
No, the percentages increases, but not by a lot. Like, he's like 64 catches on 97 targets a couple of years ago, 11.5 a catch. So he, like, to Sean's point, he was more of a slot guy then. So you're going to have a better percentage of catches, but I think he's a guy that's. I think he's an iffy proposition. I agree with Mike. And I think a lot of his damage was done sort of not on script.
And that's why I want to see how do they want to use him. I mean, if they paid him a bunch, they went out, they wanted him. Why? What are they going to do with him? I don't think that they're going to use him as a way to be a deep threat. I don't think he's going to be that Brandon Cooks, guy that lines out outside and then it's either a go route or they take a shot and he gets a PI penalty. I don't think that's it. I think Bourne is becoming more clear to me, just in that he seems like move him around the formation. He's going to catch a lot of stuff just underneath and run. And I like those guys. I think they needed those guys. But I'm curious with Aguilar for all the reasons you said. He kind of does. The old Aguilar was a lot more Patriots-like. But I certainly think that, like you said, they need that. They need someone who can kind of get down the field. Even Demir Bird last year, was kind of effective at it, and they didn't bring him back. The other guy that's been in camp, they just brought in Marvin Hall, is kind of that deep thready guy too. So how's it all going to play out? I don't know. I mean, Zuber. You're talking. I mean, right now it's so hard to differentiate any of these guys. It's just whoever catches the most passes kind of stands out.
Thanks, Sean. Let's go to Scott Newton. What's up, Scott?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
Hey, Scott.
I'm actually Paul. Look out the window. I'm over at Patriot Place. I'm waiting for the red jacket ceremony for the kicker from Michigan.
Oh.
Wait, I'm just chew this fry.
Don't interrupt my lunch.
I got a good spot. I'll save you guys a couple spots. Anyhow, I had a couple quick questions. Number one, Fred, I was curious what you thought on this. A couple of years ago, they gave up a 2 for Sanu, and I think that didn't go out so well. And they could have theoretically had Julio Jones for a 2 and a 4. Do you think if they hadn't signed Aguilar, they would have gone after Julio Jones, or do you think, and Paul, you weigh in, or whoever weighs in on this as well, or do you think it was more an issue of giving up the consideration of 2 and a 4 plus his salary?
It was the money. It was the money, and I think it could have been, even with the money, if they hadn't signed Aguilar, maybe they would. The need to get wide receiver might have been that much more urgent.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but that's possible.
Yeah.
Maybe they figured they spent money on Bourne and Aguilar, and they didn't want to do it for another guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next thing I wanted to, two more things. With all the guys they have at linebacker, it seems like every year there's a guy who gets cut during training camp for salary cap reasons or other reasons that surprise us. Do you think it could be Hightower this year? Just because even 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, when he was looking to go to Pittsburgh, there wasn't a market for him like he thought. He's been out for a year. They've got all these guys at linebacker. And like I said, Bill's track record is to cut somebody that we're not expecting.
I would put that under the category of surprise cut.
Mm-hmm. Which means you're not expecting it,
but could happen.
Yeah.
I think if Hightower wants to play, I think the Patriots want him here.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about mentally. If he's all in on 2021, he's an asset to this team. Mm-hmm. From just a leadership standpoint, communication, obviously his ability. So you pay that money to somebody like that.
Yeah. And I do think that there's something to watch there, just with what he's making, kind of him easing back into things, his age. I could see them being like.
What's he making this year, guys?
I think he costs $8 million against the cap.
But I think he's the highest.
Yeah.
I think he's more than anybody.
Over $12 million against the cap.
Nine.
Right? I think he makes $9 million.
Oh, right. I got it backwards.
And 8
it's
the cap.
over 12 plus over against the cap.
Yeah.
And I think his salary is $8 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can we agree he wasn't great the last time we saw him on the field?
I thought he was pretty
okay.
good in
2019.
Yeah, he was all right.
Yeah. I mean, I had bigger problem with the other pieces around him. Kind of, I thought Van Noy and Collins kind of faded a little bit more than he did. But I mean, I think they all kind of did to some extent. So I think that feeds into it. I think that they could say to him that, hey, we love you. Not at this number, though. Can we maybe work something out?
He's not a sideline-to-sideline middle linebacker that's going to make a ton of tackles. So I don't think he's that elite player that we talked about that elite defenses need, but he's certainly a valuable piece of a defense.
Yeah, I mean, Gerard Mayo talked about him a couple weeks ago, just calling him a coach on the field. 9 times out of 10 he's going to have everybody in the right place. And that's worth so much.
Devin McCourty to the secondary is what Hightower would be to the linebacking core.
And together they kind of work together. They played together since 2012. So that too keeps the whole defense in sync and prevents blown coverages and stuff.
Thanks for the call, Scott. Scott Newton. Cody's in Indiana.
Cody.
Wanted to get your guys' input on some way too early projections for the upcoming season. Here are a few rapid-fire, fill-in-your-project player question. Team leader in receptions.
Bourne.
I'm going to go Kendrick Bourne, too.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Hunter
say Bourne.
Henry.
Sorry.
Hunter Henry. Yeah, I don't.
That'd be my second.
Yeah. Okay.
The tight ends
could
are going to be involved.
All right. Team leader in sacks.
Uche.
Not Ronnie.
I got to see him actually playing a real game first.
Team leader in sacks.
Uche's a good pick.
That's not bad.
I'm with Mike so far. We're lockstep.
Van Noy.
Okay.
Surgeons.
Patriots Rookie of the Year.
Ramondre.
Really?
Ronnie.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like it to be Ronnie.
I'm going
Perkins.
Ronnie on that one.
Oh, it's going to be better be Barmore.
I was only taking one round
Why
up.
better it be Barmore?
Because I said so.
Okay.
I thought it better
That's
be
a good reason. I like that. He sold me.
I think
'Cause I like
Stevenson's going to get a chance. I think Harris gets dinged, Sony gets dinged.
Okay.
James kind of does one thing. I could see him all of a sudden.
All right.
Ramondre or bust.
Surprise camp cut. We just talked about one, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Cam
Surprise.
Newton.
Well, that would be a surprise to me. Yeah.
Cam, that's.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, what about one of the new guys that they just picked up on the front seven?
One of those, yeah. Well,
yeah,
one of those
like
linebackers,
Montrevious Adams.
But it may not be as much a surprise.
Hightower, we talked about.
Raekwon
Van
McMillan.
Noy. I think they would be I don't think Raekwon McMillan would be a surprise.
No.
Winovich.
Winovich could
that
be.
would be a surprise.
Yep.
I still think he's got another year to
And
prove
again,
himself.
just like to reiterate every time we do this, when it's a surprise, we don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah. So
We're surprised.
Hence
so
the
surprise.
surprise.
If NBC Sports Boston was listening right now, and I was on the show,
Paul
they would
Perillo
be
reported.
Perillo,
Colon.
Winovich to be cut. Right.
But
Not what I said.
Well, we're finding position groups that are stacked, and that you could see, someone else emerge, and it's going to be a numbers game. I think especially in that front seven.
Breakout player.
Breakout.
J.J. Taylor.
Okay.
Ooh,
That could
I like
be.
that.
I'm going to go Uche.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm on right now. I think he's going to be a big part of things this year.
And finally, team MVP.
Team MVP.
Wow. If it's the quarterback,
Let's
are the
remember-
Patriots in the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Fred.
But I think last year was Rex Burkhead the MVP.
If the best
he
player,
would have been my MVP
if the
last
best
year.
player on the team this year is the Patriots quarterback, they will be a playoff team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Dante Hightower.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just not even performance. Yes, I think of good performance here, but just solidifies things and is the man in the middle.
Gilmore.
Gilmore. All right.
Lockdown.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I don't have one.
Quinn Nordine.
Will Sony? This is not from the email.
Okay.
This is just. Will Sony Michel finish the season as a Patriot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think with that guy, you just.
I really like the question.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say yes because I just think it's out of the ordinary. But I like that, and I'll go Damian Harris as my MVP. How's that?
That's a
Okay.
good one.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Robin writes in from Alaska. Maybe this is telling, but in regards to a team Hall of Fame or Ring of Honor, I think it's how good you were, not how long you lasted. Well, I hear what you're saying, Robin, but I think with a team Hall of Fame, I think longevity does play a factor.
Sure. Because let's say your thing comes true. Like Brady suddenly decides, you know what? I'm going to go out on top. I won a Super Bowl. I'm done. 1 year with the Bucks. Does he deserve going into their Ring of Honor?
No.
Great performance. He won a Super Bowl, but 1 year?
1 year? No.
2 years though. Let's go. Failed to make the playoffs. He's in.
You balance it out.
Only if he
average.
wins it.
Only if he wins.
He has to win it.
He has to win it twice. Yeah.
What if you make
These
it?
are the rules.
Yeah.
Fred has spoken.
All right, I won't.
That's the rules.
I won't argue.
Yeah.
My mother won a Super Bowl once.
Stacey James, who's the head of PR here at the Patriots, he kind of is in charge of the Hall of Fame voting for the Patriots Hall of Fame, not in terms of who gets in, obviously it's the fans, but in terms of the rules around how to vote and who gets nominated. Imagine if I was that. Like how convoluted the rules would be. No one would understand them.
Every year they come back, Fred, but last year you said it was this. Well, this year I said it's this.
Right. Well, but now it's a different year. Different. And, oh my God.
You need like a grid, like one of those like flow charts.
Right.
Like, did player wear this number? No. Did they play 7 years? No. Did they win a Super? Yes.
Right.
And you're in.
Did I like him? Yes. No.
What do they call it? That Van Ness diagram?
A Venn diagram.
Oh, Venn
diagram.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, please tell me that was a Fredism on
No,
purpose.
I didn't know. I was thinking Van Noy.
Van Noy diagram.
Van Noy diagram with the
No,
circles.
but you said Van Ness.
I know. So I knew it wasn't Van Noy, but it was Van something. What is it?
Venn diagram.
Van Noy?
No, Venn.
No Noy. No
diagram.
Venme?
Venmo?
But anyway, that's how my
Verbo?
rules would be. It would be all these circles. And
Why don't you just sit on a throne and they give you the guy and you're like,
right?
Yes, and that's it. There's
If
no.
you have to
there's no
think about
debate.
it,
Well,
right?
The person
If
would
you
have to
think
come
about it.
before me and bend the knee.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you bend the knee?
Fred has
The House of
spoken.
Kirsch.
The Kirsch has spoken.
So,
You are now
Deuce?
gained entry.
I know you were joking around.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be done.
Kingmaker.
No, I don't mean one guy necessarily, but that's how you should say. Yes. Why? That's a Hall of Famer. I saw him play. He's a Hall of Famer.
No question.
Right.
There's no question about it. If you have
And
to,
unfortunately, it's not done that way.
no.
It's a good way. When you know, you know.
When you know, you know. It's porn.
Whoa.
Suddenly
Where
the
did
Hall of
that
Fame
go?
just
got compared to porn.
Jonathan writes in, I think there's something to be said for the mental game Peyton played his last year. There are maybe two to
all right. I like Peyton Manning more than most. He sucked his last year.
There are maybe 2 to 3 guys ever who could have been as bad at throwing the ball as he was that year and run an offense well enough to not lose you a lot of games. I disagree. I mean, there were games where he threw interception after interception, and that defense just kept him in the game. He tried to lose them games.
So
But
frustrating.
the defense wouldn't let it happen.
That's got to be my most frustrating AFC Championship loss, just because he can't even throw.
I know. I was so confident that that was the year they were going to go to Denver and win an AFC Championship.
Yeah,
I just
felt
felt
like poets.
It felt like
so many picks in that game.
No.
Wasn't his fault.
So apparently we might be wrong on this whole forcing people to have vaccinations. I don't know, but Howard from Stratford, Connecticut writes in. He says, perhaps I heard you incorrectly that employers can't require vaccinations. That is incorrect. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission just issued new guidance on May 28th that employers can, in fact, require employees to get COVID-19 vaccinations in order to re-enter the workplace and can offer incentives to employees to get vaccinated. If I heard you incorrectly, then my mistake. No, you didn't.
Well, but to re-enter the workplace is different from having a job altogether.
Right.
Right?
So you can make accommodation for someone to work from home?
Yeah.
What if it's a job that you can't do from home?
That's different.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That could be possible. I mean, he seems to know what he's talking about there.
And that's a recent change, May 28th.
May 28th.
Yeah.
That's just a few weeks ago, or a week ago.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I stand corrected then.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that, and I didn't think that was
Right.
true. I've seen a lot of places say we strongly encourage you to get vaccinated.
I mean, to me,
We
I
can't
think
force you. I
that's
haven't
going to
seen
be
that.
challenged. That's going to be challenged in court
Sure.
eventually when someone who doesn't want to get a vaccination loses their job and they.
Don't you think most people are trying to get it and want to get it? Don't you think that's
I
the
think
consensus?
Unfortunately, I don't.
Well, I think most are, but it's not a big most. It's not a large majority. Maybe 51%, but not much more than that.
And I think
you think it's that close?
Yeah, I do.
And I think
Fred's
that
right.
majority's gotten it, went out and got it, was ready to get it, got it, and now we're kind of in the phase of
like
people
if
who
you
are on the fence.
like, what are you waiting for if you haven't gotten it by now?
Right,
like,
right.
You know,
It's easy to do.
are the keys really sticking to you?
I'm
You
still
know,
weighing
have you heard
the-
that?
weighing
That
the
pe-
sticking to you?
People say that if you get vaccine, you become
Wait.
magnetized.
Hold on.
What?
People don't say it.
What?
That lunatic it was Tennessee, right?
I've seen 3 people
Matt?
say it.
Like, I don't think that's like
that
a
you become
widespread.
magnetized?
It was some lunatic. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
like that
metal
lady, like,
magnets
sticking
in,
it. People
in
legitimately
the
think they're
vaccine.
injecting you with a chip.
Oh, God.
Bill Gates is responsible, apparently.
Right. But this one person,
He was busy with other things.
Paul, it's more than one. It may not be a lot, but I saw one person
It's
testify
something
at
talking-
Congress
yeah.
about it. Then I saw another lady trying to
That's
demonstrate it.
That's probably what I saw.
And she had the bobby pin, like, see, and it kept falling off.
It's not working just right now, but trust me, it does.
Right.
It'll happen.
It's I mean the nonsense, and I blame social media.
Yeah.
Because this stuff gets spread and people believe it.
The echo chamber.
Yeah.
Well, we need to get up to that 70 to 80%, right?
We need to, but
I
don't know if it's going to happen.
But I was wondering that, like, do we need to, or is it just that, well, the people who aren't vaccinated are going to be at risk, and that's just
right.
I've kind of gotten to that point. That I thought we needed herd immunity to open things up. But now that they've opened things up and we don't have herd, I don't care.
Right.
You don't want to do it, don't do it.
You know, before, a year ago, you were at the mercy of people.
Right.
You know, now you have a choice.
Yeah.
And if you don't want it, that's it.
I mean, it's a horrible, horrible sickness and disease. Like, why anybody would want to do anything, even if it's slight, to increase their odds of getting it. I don't understand why you would want to do that.
Right. Now, the other thing is, the overwhelming the medical system. I think we're at the point now where now we know how to treat it, you know, that whole thing. So that, you know, might have been taken off the table too. I'm with Paul. I mean, you can't close things down again. We've got the vaccine, you know.
And there's been enough stuff. We don't have to turn this into a political thing, but
it's not. It's a medical thing.
No, but I mean, but you know what happened to it.
It
Fred.
shouldn't be. Right.
I mean, did you read any of that material of those leaked emails that they forced Fauci to have?
Fauci,
I mean, not very promising for us as a country.
Right.
Like the masks are a farce.
Yeah.
You know, he benefited greatly financially from the research company that this is not good stuff.
Right.
This is not good stuff. Like, I feel like I wasted a year and a half of my life for nothing.
Yeah.
Which I kind of felt like most of the way along the way anyway, but to have it I'm a whack job. I'm well aware of that. But to have me find out that some of my wacky theories were actually pretty close to the truth is frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, having gone through a COVID scare with my wife, which turns out we think it was a negative, and that was like the worst 10 days probably of my life. Like, I mean, just, you know, waking up every morning being like, are my kids going to be sick? And, you know, having gone through that was just
And on the flip
terrible.
side of that, we all know people who are generally healthy overall who've gotten really sick. We were just talking about this
it affects
earlier
everybody
today.
differently.
So you never know. Like, you don't want to take the chance that you're the one that it affects really badly.
Right.
Yeah. You know, so as Paul said, anything you can do, even if it's a slight chance that it's going to help you, I don't see why you wouldn't want to do it.
Look, I get it. This was as quickly as they probably ever have gotten a vaccine ready.
It's historic.
So I get it. Maybe it's not as effective as it's being made out to be. But it's got to help. Like, can it hurt you? Really?
Wow.
You got a sample size now. I mean, people have been getting it for 3 months. Like, you know, like
suddenly you become Magneto, and all of a sudden, like, all this stuff is like sticking to you.
It's good. I keep losing
not the
my
Moderna.
keys.
maybe the Pfizer, not the Moderna though. Moderna's fine. I don't know
Moderna?
about the Pfizer.
I have people in my family, all three too. You know, my brother got Johnson & Johnson, my kids got Pfizer, and I had Moderna, and my wife had Moderna. So, like,
I
think all three of them. I mean, I guess that's not a very big sample size. But you know what I mean?
We're all fine.
Eldred's in North Carolina. What's up, Eldred?
Are you, Paul? Are you fine? You're a
Hey,
whack job.
fellas, how y'all doing today?
Good.
Hey, Eldred.
What's up?
All right. I agree with Paul. I'm fully vaccinated. I still wear my mask no matter where I go at because I don't know if the next guy behind me or beside me or the lady either been tested or had a vaccine or whatever. You know, and you see half the people, they say the same thing. You know, it's a microchip in there, or they're trying to track you, but they can track you with the phone.
I was going to say, why do they need to put a chip in you to
I
track
know.
you?
They're already tracking you with your phone.
Why don't you
Right.
go on Facebook or Twitter and see the ads that are directed to you, and then tell me about how they're tracking you with a
Eldred,
chip.
All these people worried about being tracked. You're not that interested.
Yeah, right.
That's what I always think. Who's gonna
Yeah.
track
What are
me?
they going to follow you for? Eldred, but I got a question for you though. If you're vaccinated, why are you afraid of getting? I thought that was the whole point of getting the vaccine.
I think he's trying to put.
No, because you still can catch it. It won't be as bad.
Right.
And I've been to places I felt a little bad, a little whatever. Like I'm like, darn, I got a headache again.
Yeah.
Can go for a couple of days.
Oh yeah,
No,
everything.
no.
It's like you're so
I'll just tell you,
paranoid.
I'll never wear the mask again unless I'm required to.
I won't either, but I understand. Like in China before this, people wore masks. You know, and I'll bet you that a lot of people in the United States who will continue to wear masks just for germs in general.
There are people that think that, like
germs in general.
But there are people that think that, like, oh, I went this last year and a half. I always get sick, and I never got sick. No kidding. You stayed in your house for a year and a half. That's
true.
why you didn't get sick.
Right.
It's not because you wash your hands all the time and have a mask on.
But the point is, you didn't come in contact with germs,
Right.
So you didn't get sick.
I mean, on a plane, I would definitely. I mean, we're going to have to wear it on a plane in a couple of weeks, but I would consider it. And I mean, I also just like feeling like nobody can see me.
I think you still have to wear a mask.
Yeah,
on
you
a
do.
plane.
You do. I know.
That's
but
what
I
I'm
was just saying,
like,
generally, like
when
I
I'm
always feel
required,
like
I
that's
will.
like a germ factory in a plane. Like that might, the only place where I'd be like, you know what?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't need to be breathing this air, but
And
I definitely.
But you ever notice, like, you go on those crowded flights, and the next that you feel like crap.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Because it's
No-
that,
no
they're,
doubt.
they're circulating that
Yeah.
air throughout the cabin the whole time, and you never know. But I think maybe people will be more conscious of their overall health and hygiene from now on.
Maybe.
And
I think some
there'll
people
be,
definitely.
there'll be a reduction in the amount of people who are spreading this stuff, or people who are feeling a little bit under the weather might and have to travel might put the masks on when it's no longer required on the plane. Hopefully that's not going to be a permanent thing. But
That always seemed like the place where I would see random people wearing it before
airports and
before
stuff.
like
Yeah.
that
Right.
person's got a mask
maybe
on.
Yeah, I've seen people in airports
Yeah.
with masks before this happened.
Oh yeah.
But Pop, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, it was
When he
like
was
Tuesday
22.
show. I heard.
Why are you
on
that
the
way?
Tuesday show. I think y'all was talking about Randy Moss and the receivers. Some that like in 2009 or whatever they slacked off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't that the year after that Super Bowl loss that Bill when they showed that the Patriots with that thing on the NFL Network that he said he gonna do that no more by faith. If they shut Moss down or Welker down,
Yep.
you don't shut that one side of the field.
Yep.
I think they quit going to him. He wanted some catches and he wanted to beat record. He wanted to
he
have a
quit.
Price record, but he never did.
I remember.
They quit
I'm going to look it up just to make sure I have the year right.
I think that's what
But there was a home game against
altogether,
Carolina. He just went through the motions the whole game.
Yep.
And
I was
wanna-
there.
So too, because
I
they
wanna
wouldn't
look
they
it
wouldn't
up.
target him. Because they wanted to run off. Because I believe Hernandez and Grunt kept saying
Is that-
kept
Gonna need some help here, Eric. Did you play Carolina
Well,
that year?
That was a home game.
no,
I remember
they
he
did.
kind of
Yeah.
like barely ran off the
Carolina,
line.
There was a play across the middle.
20-10 victory.
There was a play
December
across the
13th.
middle that he
It was gross.
that wasn't even running, and it was fairly early in the season too. It was like
I
October.
saw
I
that.
think.
I saw that.
The Carolina game?
Yeah.
You're talking about? No, that was December 13th.
That's not the game I'm thinking of then.
But anyway,
He quit in 09.
yeah.
He quit.
He did because I don't think they were throwing. I think Bill O'Brien took him out the offense a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
because
December.
he got traded later on that season. About a couple games down, they traded him.
2010.
2010
he got traded.
After he pouted the
okay.
first game.
First month of the season.
The first game he pouted.
Yep.
You
When
put the
he
earth on
put
him.
the earth on his shoulders. Yep.
Yep. Well, whatever. But my question is, how did the team look? Y'all saw them today in practice?
They look fine.
Yeah. Go back, listen to the
Fine.
first
Offense a little better today, we thought.
Yeah. Yeah, Stidham threw the ball pretty well. Some nice catches. Myers and
Hoyer, sharp.
Zuba.
Sharp.
Looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, they
What
look
about
pretty good.
Devin Smith?
He was not there.
Not
today.
there.
So knee jerk though, if the season started today, would you agree Stidham's your starter? Based on reps?
If it started Sunday, yeah.
I would say
probably.
so.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Hoyer does
All right,
throw a
fellas,
nice practice.
Have a good one.
All right, thanks, Eldred.
Don't sleep on Brian Hoyer, guys.
Soundly.
I'm gonna make that my thing. Hoyer.
That was last
Hoyer.
year.
Oh yeah, was it? Yeah,
Last year
probably.
when Felger said that they would win the AFC
Right,
East
we thought.
if Hoyer was the starter, and Greg Bedard said, "Don't sleep on Brian Hoyer."
Yeah.
Then he played, and everybody's tune changed.
Yeah. Raj is
one half of one game. That's all it took.
Raj is in St. Louis. I was thinking where the Patriots currently stand in the AFC hierarchy and found the tiers to go like this. Number 1 is the Chiefs. Number 2 is a tie between the Titans, Ravens, Browns, Bills, and Colts.
Is this a second tier?
Yeah. Second tier. Titans, Ravens, Browns, Bills, Colts.
Titans, Ravens, Browns, Bills, Colts. I would have some separation with some of those, but okay.
The third tier out of 4 is the Patriots, Raiders, Steelers, Chargers, Finns. And then in the fourth tier, he has Bengals, Jets, Broncos, Jags, and Texans.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
I would have different tiers and different members of those tiers. I would have the Bills clearly ahead of the rest of those teams in the AFC that he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bills might buy themselves in a second tier, maybe.
Or you might want to. I think like the Browns could be in that tier with them.
Yeah. Colts,
but
I don't know because
I don't know
Rivers
about
is another year older.
I don't know.
He's not.
He's also dead.
He's also
That's
retired.
right. Who's there? No,
Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Carson
so
Wentz.
that's a big if.
Yeah.
You know,
how big an if is that?
If he plays like he did in Philly at the end, then they're not going to be in that second tier.
Yeah.
Okay. So if whoever plays quarterback plays like Newton played last year, they're not going to be in the third tier, right?
I agree with that. Yeah.
That's why there's got to be some separation with some of those teams. And, you know, maybe I'm a little bit higher on Denver than some other people, but I don't see any difference between you think the Raiders and the Dolphins are the same as the Patriots.
Yeah.
But you don't think the Broncos are the same as the Patriots?
Right. And the Bengals,
and the Steelers?
I mean, I guess you can't really count on Burrow coming back and being
plus they're not a very good team.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
the Chargers could be good.
We were talking a couple shows ago about, you know, and it might have been last show about players, quarterbacks in particular, that, you know, could the team that they have been on really derail their career, like David Carr.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it in there. And I know he had a decent career, but Andrew Luck, I think he could have been a lot better NFL quarterback than even he was.
But that
I think he was on a poorly run team.
I'll give you one. Is Carson Palmer.
Is another one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'd say that's a better one, I think, than Luck, because I think Luck's problem was his injuries more so than the franchise.
Well,
I mean, look,
maybe they should have protected him.
Well, but look at Fred. Every year in the beginning of his career, they advanced further than they did the previous year. The first year
because of him.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying if they had, you know, how many times is he like getting nailed and, you know, congratulating the guy on the way up and you know, being really nice.
You know, gosh, you really got me on that.
I'd rather see my quarterback not getting nailed. You know,
I know, but is that the franchise derailing him?
I don't putting the pieces around him. I think Pagano was a terrible head coach.
That's true. It's the Colts. I know.
Terrible head coach.
Let this one go. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, I think that on a better run team, he would have been.
He certainly
maybe a Hall of Fame quarterback. And right now,
better.
he's not even close to being a Hall of Fame quarterback.
No, but that's because he retired.
Yeah.
If he didn't retire, he'd still be on that same franchise.
I would have retired too if I was stuck on that team.
The hatred is just.
I just love it. He hates the Colts so much.
I did. They're not so bad now. I don't really have that much of a grudge against them.
Yeah, it's kind of weird not to hate the Colts anymore that much. I kind of like, looking forward to seeing them actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to hate them so much.
Yeah, the two people, Pagano and the GM, are gone.
Oh yeah,
you know,
Ryan
Griswold,
Griswold.
He was a real jerk. I mean, halftime you've got 12 minutes, so everybody in the press box gets up and goes to the bathroom, and there's a line, and you got to be patient. He freaking barges into the men's room and just walks past everybody. Are you telling me that as the GM of a team, you can't find a freaking suite to go in the bathroom? You have to like act like an ass in front of, you know, are you kidding me?
In the press box?
Yeah. What is going on here? And it's not like it's an old stadium and there aren't a lot of bathrooms. That's a new stadium in Indianapolis.
So he just like ripped somebody out of the stall, like he
literally,
was like O'Doyle
banging
rules?
into people to get to the get out. I mean, that's just being a jerk. Come on, go find a bathroom. You know,
that's twice.
Like high school.
That's twice I thought he was going to say
swear?
something different. Yes. Go find a bathroom.
But, yeah. No wonder they got rid of him.
Was Andrew Luck's offensive line? I thought that was the storyline. It was just that his offensive line was always
the irony is that they got the great offensive line,
Nelson,
and he decided to retire.
Right.
You know, once they had that fixed, he was sort of at the end of his rope with the injuries and decided to retire.
Yeah. I think he could have been better.
He was good. I
just think he was really good, and I think the Colts had more success than a lot of other teams that spin their wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, I get your point. Like if they had Frank Reich and Chris Ballard like they did now at the onset of his career, I think he would have been better.
Yes.
I agree with you. Because I don't think Pagano's a good coach, and I don't think Grigson was a good GM.
Right. let's see. Rashab also says, I feel like 2021 will be a successful season, and he puts that in quotes, if they can move up into that second tier with the division favorites / perennial playoff teams and out of the tier of 500 teams. What do you feel?
I would agree. If they can make the playoffs, and I would say that's a successful
Yeah,
season.
so right now he says, so now he's defined that third tier that he's got the Patriots in, he considers 500
Well, that's
teams.
why I was counting the teams. You
Yeah.
had playoff teams ahead of them. You had enough teams that would be the playoff teams. But
I mean, successful to me, even if they don't make the playoffs, you could consider certain things successful. Like if Mac Jones shows promise, that's
well, if Mac Jones plays,
yeah,
I would consider that a successful
if he
season,
plays,
unless he looks like
and
he's
shows-
never played the game in his life.
Right. If he plays and he plays well, I think even if you don't make the playoffs, you can look like the
Yeah.
Chargers or
he's
the
going to have at least some
Yeah.
progress that you're going to be excited about.
Right.
I think just to the bigger point, it's some young guys emerge. You know, I think some of the guys are knocking on the door on when you maybe a little bit more so, but you can't. You're not going to be able to rely on Hightower and McCourty forever. You know, you need to find that next group of guys, and you need
Uche,
to
Duggar. You
need
get
those
good years out of those guys,
Yeah.
and then you get your quarterback that
Yep.
settles in.
There you go.
Maybe you hit on maybe the two tight ends look good, so you're going to have them for another couple of years.
You got some.
Yeah, it's a good year. Whether you
Set
make
up for the
playoffs or not.
future.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're a little old.
Mhm.
Like, and I think people don't realize that. Like, we got an SPFW that I'll be working on for next week, and it's like, do you agree with the off-season rebuilding program to get younger? They didn't get younger. They got older. They're one of the oldest teams in the league.
Yeah.
So they're kind of built to win.
And you can't say, well, Brady skews that. He's not on the team anymore.
They're kind of built to win now.
Yeah.
That's why it's kind of important that we see some progress out of the quarterback.
Sam writes in from Pleasanton, California. You know where Pleasanton is?
No.
That's a racetrack.
Is that in the valley?
Pleasanton.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Back from my agate days, Freddie.
What's up, Puff? He says, Patriots Unfiltered. Word on the street is that the Patriots are looking to sign Dre Kirkpatrick. Is it Kilpatrick or Kirkpatrick? Kirkpatrick. Have you heard anything?
Well, they had him in for a workout
a couple weeks ago.
I
I think you're visiting somebody else too. So,
how would you rate him as a player, and would you like to see him join the team?
I'm indifferent.
Yeah.
He's out of work for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with Paul.
But
I was excited about him coming out of Alabama, but
I would say
you can understand why.
Yeah.
I would say Gilmore is the key there. If Gilmore's back and he's going to be, a part of the team, it's kind of like Hightower. As long as if Gilmore wants to be back, I don't need Dre Kirkpatrick.
So they bring in him, take a look at him just in case Gilmore doesn't end up. So
right.
we've done the work we need to do.
Then they need somebody.
Yeah.
They need
Pick up
and
the
he's an
speed
NFL
dial.
player. They need somebody if Gilmore goes.
and I think Jawan Williams is probably a player too to kind of consider into that mix. And he's been out there. He's been getting snaps and staying active. So I mean, I think he's one of those guys where if it kind of clicked for him as an outside cornerback, that would really help them this year. And he could really, he could find a role. He really could slip into some kind of consistent week-to-week matchup role.
Is this a new thing on 98.5, Paul? Adam Jones now with the afternoon crew?
Jim Murray is on vacation.
Oh, he's on vacation.
Big Jim.
Okay.
But I do like the fact that Adam Jones has a Brooklyn Nets hat on. He's just
incessant.
He's such a jerk.
He's king troll. He really likes to troll.
Loves it.
Like he wakes up in the morning and he's like, "What can I do today to twist the knife?"
Yeah.
He was a pre- and post-game host at one time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we gave him his break.
Was he the original?
He might have been. Out of Northeastern?
Well, he wasn't. I mean, he did come out of Northeastern, but I think he might have been our original host.
Yeah.
Followed by Beetle and Rich Keefe. And
yeah.
What year did that?
Jim?
What year did it start? The
Our
pre-
show?
1932, I think.
It's back in the third. Hey, by the way, do we have that cut yet?
Welcome back to Patriots Unfiltered.
We had
today, by the miracle of radio, we go to.
We
Boston.
originally did a pregame show, and then we didn't do postgame because Andy and I still had to write for the paper back in those days. And then Fred was like, "No, let's go all the way. This is where we're going." I'm going to say maybe 11, 10, 11.
I don't know.
Somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Been a while now.
Yeah. A good
Now,
decade.
and now it's a great show with you. Like the original cast. It'd be like the Wikipedia page would have past and present members down the
Yes.
side.
Yeah.
Mike
an
Dussault
honor.
replacing Andy Hart.
But technically, this podcast, I know it's changed names.
PFW.
It's the longest continuing running podcast in the world. It is.
I believe it.
We started in the 90s.
We did 99, 99.
You guys are legends. It's still weird to me that I work here with you guys, but I mean, like the PFW with you guys is an institution of Patriot fans. Like it's just.
But a lot of Patriots fans won't admit it, and mostly your blogger fans.
Yeah.
Because now they have all their own, so they consider us competition.
Well, I mean, I think what was super surreal for me was, Paul's Blogservations was a must read.
That's right.
For me, and then to have to write them last week, I was like, oh, this is overwhelming.
It's the first time I let him write them.
Yeah, is that right?
I did.
Wow.
He had a thing.
I'm very territorial with my Blogservations.
Pulled up his big boy pants.
It was funny though. At one point, Paul was like, for example, I might say something like, like.
I was busting his balls.
No, it's funny. This is exactly. He's like, I might say something like, yada like this, and I look down at what I just written, and I and then he almost verbatim.
Then he would show me exactly
what I'd already written. I'm like, I'm with you, Paul. I got you.
I think Andy
I
likes
was a little. I was a little. I just
Oh,
wanted.
I know it's your
just wanted
baby.
to make sure it was taken care
Did I
of.
not express that I was honored to, even
You
be
did.
able
I was.
to?
I was touched.
Yeah,
I was
it's
more
very
than a little
cool.
touched.
Paul was trying to micromanage his,
MHB Outdoor Grills, so you missed it. Andy likes. He takes credit for the name Blogservation?
Andy did come up with the name.
He did come up with
He's
it.
right to
Yes.
come up to take credit for that.
Yep.
That
Okay.
was his name.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
But he didn't get to write it.
But I
Not anymore,
originated
no.
the format
Right. Okay.
because I was too lazy
Quick
to come up
hit
with an actual
practice
story.
observations.
Yeah.
Wow, you revolutionized it.
I was.
What if
Hey,
instead of sentences, I just
that's
kind
what-
of
Guys,
that's what
stop!
people want.
I want you to. I want you to
They're
stop
the
now,
best.
because I'm not lying. You can ask Fred. We started doing that for practices, for training camp practices, our
right.
games. We did game observations, and now everybody
He's right.
does bullet points
Really?
instead of game
All right.
stories.
Right.
Every-
And that's what
everybody,
people want.
you're right.
They want quick rundowns of, nuggets.
Oh.
Nugget.
And I'm not saying that we
I love it.
revolutionized it, or anything like that, but everybody followed suit here.
It's the best.
I'm not telling you that Mayan was the first one that I ever saw that was done like that, but everybody else around here wrote. I mean, the Globe was writing traditional game stories like last year. Like they just started doing the bullet point thing.
It's so much better.
So much easier.
By the way, I did notice that Paul turned the word mine
Mayan.
into two
You know
syllables.
what? As soon as I said
Mayan.
it,
Mayan.
I almost looked at Eric
Yes.
because I was gonna. I
See if he
wanted to
clocked
give
it.
him the acknowledgement that he's gonna jump on that.
I know I said it. I know you know I said it. I know I said it. Let's just let it go.
Mayan civilization.
Mayan and the Aztecs
Our.
and the Incas.
See, now that one you're actually right about.
Okay.
Not like our.
Our
Right.
is one syllable.
Our is 2 syllables.
No, it is not.
R is
Not.
ARE.
Russell in
easy.
Arkansas writes in, if Hoyer doesn't make the final 53, I don't think he will, what are the chances he becomes a coach, maybe assistant to the Josh McDaniels?
Nah.
I mean, if he was going to be a coach, he should be a coach now. Like, why are we?
Yeah.
I
know,
don't.
like,
I don't really have any insight into that. I don't know.
Maybe someone should just ask him. At some point, like, do you ever want to be a coach? Like, it just seems everybody is just making that
These are the
natural
things that we're
connection,
missing, not being in the locker room.
Right.
Oh,
Hey.
Stop it.
Baldy. Sorry. I
What?
I thought you were
Who are you talking to?
me.
I thought you were talking
shot
to
at
me. Too many of us in this room.
Both
Deuce.
your jaws just dropped. Like what?
What?
Yeah.
How dare you?
I doesn't look like we're going to get back in there this year in the locker room.
Oh, there's been a lot of talk about it, though. There's been a lot of pushback.
Oh, yeah, from the PFFW, PA?
Yeah. The Hardos.
Yeah. You got to get in there.
The Pro Football Writers Association.
Yeah, and the argument, and
I have.
this is serious. I know I often sort of mock and ridicule my colleagues, and I do it in a loving
With
way.
good reason.
But this is being serious, and this one, Doug Kide, who is our local guy for the PFWA. He had put a tweet out about saying how ridiculous it is to have 70,000 people in the stands, but deem it unsafe to have media in the locker room. And I'm just like I don't care about the locker room, whatever. But that's a ridiculous analogy. There's nothing comparable about that. The 70,000 people are far
outside.
enough away from the team
Right.
Right.
to do any
This
damage.
is an NFLPA thing. They
Right?
don't care about the fans getting sick. They care about their union getting
but
sick.
I think they're talking about the players.
Right.
Right? Well,
Right.
The fans aren't going to get the players sick.
Exactly.
Because they're not close enough to them to get sick.
That's right.
And in the locker room, theoretically, reporters could infect the players.
That's right.
Now, you could do something there because this is not a job. It's a privileged part of the job. You have access to the locker room. There I could see the team could say, sure, Boston Globe, you can have a writer, but he needs to be vaccinated. Then I could say I could understand that.
And limit the number of people who actually get in there.
If you're the NFLPA, you could make the counter argument. Well, he could be vaccinated, but he can still transmit it.
No, I'm just saying as an example.
But it's like, and too, like the format of that is just so meandering. Like you go in there and you walk. Like I can't imagine that happening anymore. Like, I can imagine maybe in-person interviews, but not like
shorten the period. I think it's 45 minutes now, right?
Yeah.
Is it 45 minutes?
Well, during the
45.
week, during the week, it's 45 minutes.
45 minutes, right?
Post game, it's like an hour.
Cut that in half. Cut that in half, at the very minimum. And to Mike's point, what would be the problem if you just set up some sort of area where all your media guys, if you want to talk to somebody, request them. We will make that guy available to you. That way, the 40 guys on the team that aren't getting requested every day can just go about their business in the locker room and get out of there.
Yeah. I've been a proponent of that for years. I don't think anyone should go into any locker room.
I agree.
I think that should be sacred ground. But I also think that athletes should be compelled to talk to the media, and I think there should be a separate area set up for that.
Yes. I agree. And it's less about the sanctity of the locker room. It's just that's where they get dressed.
Well, that's what I mean.
It's
an
anachronism.
It's nothing sacred.
They shouldn't have to do that in front of other people.
Right. I don't know how I'm going to live the rest of my life having seen Dan Skipper naked. I mean, that's going to scar me for life.
It is also just so bizarre. Like if we were covering, the Women's World Cup, we wouldn't be going in the women's locker room after a game.
I covered women's sports, and I wasn't allowed in the locker room, and nor should I have been. I'm not complaining about the lack of equality. I wanted no part of being in there.
Right.
And I shouldn't have been in there.
But women's sports gets covered without people going into their locker rooms.
Right.
You make accommodation.
Yeah, so they can do it for
you
the
could
men's
argue now
sports,
that
too.
women's sports are getting covered at a greater level than they ever have.
Yep.
How do they do it without access to their locker rooms?
Right.
I can't speak today.
Locker room.
I'm really struggling.
You got a banana in the tailpipe?
I don't know. Shut up, Matt. Thomas. Where's the clip that I asked you to play?
James Pettigrew, the most interesting Patriots fan in the world, says Hardy is by far my favorite host, then Beadle, then Adam Jones. I don't mind what Adam says. It's just his cadence, disjointed radio voice. Yeah, he does sound like kind of a guy you want to punch in the nose sometimes.
Oh, he's such a know-it-all.
He's so snarky.
God. God, he really is.
Drips in sarcasm.
Does it take work?
He's very good at it.
Yeah, I mean, does he have to really work at that, or does it just come natural?
It's natural.
He's a great kid.
Yeah, no, I mean,
he's a great kid. But he's like, what do they call it? Like the provocateur? He's great at like sort of stirring the pot and getting everybody agitated.
Excited for Paul.
There it is. There it is. Thank you.
One more email. Somebody wants to chime in on the COVID. David in Bethlehem. Athletes presume we should respect their opinions on many issues. You commentators avoid injuring the fragile minds of some listeners on vaccinations, so permit me to express my opinion about players that refuse. From the standpoint of their own personal health, athletes very likely would never become seriously ill from infection or vaccination. But they should know that their mothers, fathers, and elders are more at risk to pay the price for coming into contact with them. Tell me where concern for social justice to older people fit into that decision. I get what he's saying, but at this point, everybody has a choice.
Right.
Those elders he's talking about can go get the vaccination. So it's a different world than it was a year ago.
Yeah.
Now we have a defense, and it's called the vaccination.
Especially the elders, because they've had access to it longer than everybody else.
Go get the vaccination, and then when your athlete son
But
comes
he's right.
in,
His point is well taken.
Oh, it's true. There's no doubt. But it's different than it was a year ago. We have a defense. We have something we can fight against this. It's called the vaccination. And everyone has access to it. It's not like it's free. Yep. And now you can get it anywhere. You can go into CVS, Walgreens.
Yep.
You're freaking anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they're giving it out at ballparks now.
Yeah.
So just go get it.
They were doing it at the beach somewhere, too.
You want to vaccinate? Hey, vaccinations here.
Right. Oh, those are the hypos you find on the beach. Pick it up.
No, not that one.
Yeah. Oh, God. All right. That's going to be it for this edition of...
You're always shortchanging everyone.
What am I doing?
The longest-running podcast in the history of the world.
That's amazing we've gotten this far.
We can't give them 2 full hours.
We took a short break today. All right, so what's going on? We'll be back
Monday,
next week.
We have practice availability.
Oh, yeah, today's Thursday.
As it stands, Monday,
so let's
Tuesday,
talk a little
Wednesday.
bit about next week.
Right. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, we are scheduled to have access to the mandatory mini camp, which will conclude our spring practice sessions. So we'll be doing our usual...
We're assuming that we're going to have a similar time frame for the practices, which have been around 11:15 to about 1.
So,
which means on Tuesday next week, our
probably
PU
1 to
show
3.
will probably be 1 to 3.
Stay tuned, though. Could
But
change.
Mike and I will also give you a YouTube wrap on Patriots YouTube channel on Monday and Wednesday minimum.
Right.
We'll
Something
play it
crazy
by,
goes down
We'll
Tuesday.
play it
We'll
by
hop
ear
on
on
it.
Tuesday and see if there's anything. But because we're doing a full show on Tuesday, we figure that will probably suffice. And we'll have you
Thursday
fully
we'll wrap it
covered
up.
on the written end with Paul's blog observations, as well as Mike's musings.
So and as Eric said, the difference between next week and this week is they are mandatory. So all these veterans that haven't been coming,
we'll see.
Supposedly they're
what
going to be
next
out
week.
there unless there's some kind of injury or
Steph
something.
Gilmore watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll be the Gilmore watch. Absolutely.
Right. So we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.